Court. The court's orders regarding the taking of fingerprints and DNA that was made on the first calendar, the first day of the month, remain in full force and effect. All right. We're going to proceed in the following matter. We're going to call two people at a time. The first person will come up and stand at the podium. The second person will sit in the chair by the door. The first person we're going to see this morning is Michael or Mikhail Harville, followed by Alexia Smith. Sir, please tell me your name and date of birth.
Michael Harville, 1375.
Thank you, sir. So you're here on a warrant out of the Pinal County Superior Court on the charge of theft of means of transportation, a Class 3 felony.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Yeah, just a second. Counsel will be appointed at your next court date. Go ahead, sir. What do you want to
say? They released me in January. I was here in the jail, and I got transported to the emergency room with a ruptured spleen, and they found cancer, stage 4 lung cancer and brain cancer, and they released me from the hospital. I didn't know I had any issues with that, and then all of a sudden I get, my wife gets pulled over and I got a warrant. But yeah. I honestly, I would have went if I'd have known that I had it. Yeah. They let me go in the hospital.
So this is an out-of-county warrant. I really have no. They were requesting a $30,000 bond.
Okay.
And since it's an out-of-county warrant, I really have very little jurisdiction over that.
Okay.
You'll be going to court next week on it, but I mean, I can't do much on that. So I am affirming the bond that the judge, the Superior Court judge in Pinal County, set at $30,000. If you post the bond, you're not to initiate contact with any arresting officers, no drugs without a valid prescription, no driving without a valid driver's license. You to continue to reside at an address provided to the court. Your next court date, as indicated, will be next week as an arraignment in the Pinal County Superior Court on July the 2nd at 8:30. All right, sir.
All right. Can I do what's a bondsman cost me for that?
Generally, on a secured appearance bond, they want 10%, which they take as their fee, and then you have to have some type of collateral for the rest.
Oh, okay.
All right. So it's not a cash-only bond, sir. Thank you. Smith.
In the back row.
Ms. Smith will be followed by Pete Ramirez. Ma'am, please state your name.
Alexia Smith.
And your date of birth.
1496.
All right, ma'am, you're here on two cases, one of which, number 6, is a Superior Court probation violation warrant. You're on probation for a Class 6 felony. The court has found you to be indigent. It's ordered appointing the public defender to represent you. On this case, the judge set a bond, a secured appearance bond of $100. I'm affirming that. If you post the bond, you're not to initiate contact with any arresting officers. You're not to possess any weapons. You're not to possess any drugs without a valid prescription or drive without a valid driver's license. And you're to contact your probation officer within 72 hours of your release. Your next court date on this case will be a probation revocation, possible disposition hearing on July the 3rd at 8:30 in the downtown Superior Court. Your new case, number 5 on the calendar, you've been charged with possession of narcotic drugs, a Class 4 felony. That's what they arrested you on. Based upon the limited information I have, I was not able to find probable cause on that count because they don't have any drug testing or anything else.
Yeah, because I didn't have anything on me.
Well, they say you have drugs. They just tested it, and it's, in my opinion, inconclusive. So in that case, you're going to be released on your own recognizance since the court found no probable cause. That doesn't mean the charge will go away. They could have the drugs tested by the next court date. I have appointed the public defender on that case as well. Your next court date on that case will be July the 14th at 8:30 for a status conference with a possible preliminary hearing on July the 16th. So your next court date on that case is July the 14th. Do you have any questions, ma'am?
So I won't be getting out today.
Not unless you post a bond on the probation violation case.
But I don't understand why I have a probation violation. I've been in treatment.
Ma'am,
Like, I've been in treatment.
there's a petition to file petition to revoke your probation that was filed, alleging that you failed to report to the probation department within 72 hours of your sentencing, which is required of everybody who gets placed on probation. They also said that you did not reside in a residence approved by the probation department. So your bond on that case is $100. You're released on your own recognizance on the other case. And I've given you the court date, so you can step back there, ma'am.
All right.
Mr. Ramirez will be followed by Lindsay Hall. Sir, please state your name.
Ramirez, 4688.
All right. So you're here on a Superior Court bench warrant on the charge of burglary in the 3rd degree, a Class 4 felony. The public defender's already been appointed to represent you. I'm affirming that. The judge, when they issued the bench warrant, said a secured appearance bond of $1,000, which I'm also affirming. If you post the bond, you're not to initiate any contact with any arresting officers. You're not to possess any drugs without a valid prescription. You're not to drive without a valid driver's license. You're to continue to provide court proof of your local address. Your next court date on this case is a status conference on July the 3rd at 8:30, with a possible preliminary hearing on July the 8th at 8:30 in the downtown Superior Court. Do you have any questions, sir?
No.
All right, thank you, sir. Lindsay Hall will be followed by Rudy Perez.
Hey, you're going. You said Rudy Perez. Sit there. Go ahead.
Are you sure? Oh,
No, here you are there. We have somebody who's sitting in, no, ma'am, you stay at the podium.
oh, okay.
You're
Okay.
good.
Okay,
He came into the courtroom, he was supposed to sit in the chair.
okay, sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay.
I do need your name and date of birth, though.
Lindsay Hall, 10/28/1982.
All right, ma'am, you're here on a probation violation warrant out of the Pinell County. The court has found you to be indigent. Counsel will be appointed at the next court date. The judge, when they issued the probation violation warrant, asked that you be held without bond, which about half the time on probation cases that's happened. So in this case, you're going to be held without bond because of a violation of probation. The judge indicated that there's a likelihood that prison could be imposed. But that, you still have your day in court. You'll have your attorney, and that will be decided. Your next court date will be an arraignment hearing on July the 2nd at 8:30 in the Pinell County Superior Court. Do you have any questions, Ms. Hall?
You guys will take me there?
They should come and get you.
Okay, okay, all right. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Perez, you can come into the courtroom. And Margaret Adachiga will sit in the chair by the door. All right, sir, please tell me your name and date of birth.
Rudy Perez, and birthday is 10/2/96.
All right, thank you, sir. So you're here on a Superior Court bench warrant on for failing to appear on the charges of possessing dangerous drugs, Class 4 felony, and criminal trespass, a Class 1 misdemeanor. The Legal Advocate's Office has already been appointed to represent you. I'm affirming that appointment. There's been a secured appearance bond set in your case in the amount of $500. If you post that bond, you're not to initiate contact with any arresting officers. You're not to possess any drugs without a valid prescription or drive without a valid driver's license. You're to continue to reside at an address you provide the court. Your next court date will be a status conference on July the 3rd at 8:30 in the downtown Superior Court with a possible preliminary hearing on July the 8th at 8:30. Do you have any questions, sir?
No.
All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Adachiga will be followed by Dakar Turner. Ma'am, please state your name
Margaret Archiga,
and your date of birth.
8/28/2000.
All right, ma'am, you're here on two cases. Looks like both of them are probation violations. Number 13 on the calendar is for Class 6 felony. The court has found you to be indigent. It's ordered appointing the public defender to represent you. On this case, there's been a secured appearance bond set in the amount of $250. If you post the bond, you're not to initiate contact with any arresting officers, you're not to possess any weapons, you're not to possess any drugs without a valid prescription or drive without a valid driver's license. You're to continue to provide court proof of your local address, and you must contact the probation department within 72 hours of your release. Your next court date will be a probation revocation arraignment hearing, possible disposition hearing on July the 3rd at 8:30. Number 14 is also a probation violation. Bond on that case is also $250. The release conditions are exactly the same as is your court date of July the 3rd at 8:30. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Turner will be followed by Jason Atkins. Sir, please state your name.
Dakar Turner.
And your date of birth.
Today is 06/12/1995.
All right, thank you, sir. You're here on 3 cases. The first, number 15, is a bench warrant for failing to appear in the Superior Court on the charges of aggravated DUI, Class 4 felonies. The public defender's already been appointed to represent you. On this case, there's been a secured appearance bond set in the amount of $1,000. If you post that bond, you're not to initiate contact with any arresting officers, you're not to possess any drugs without a valid prescription or drive without a valid driver's license. You're to continue to provide court proof of your local address, and you must submit to DNA testing and fingerprinting.
The secured bond is full, or is it 10%?
It's 10%, but you've got a whole other issue that we're going to talk about in just a minute.
I know, yeah.
So your next court date on this is an arraignment hearing on July the 3rd at 8:30 in the downtown Superior Court. Your next case is a new felony charges. Aggravated assault, Class 3 felony, burglary, a Class 3 felony, criminal damage, a Class 6 felony, misdemeanor criminal damage and disorderly conduct, and misdemeanor resisting arrest. The court has found probable cause as to those charges. The court has found you to be indigent. It's ordered appointing the public defender on that case. On this case, because you were on felony release on bench warrant status for part of the time, you're going to be held without bond because when you commit a new felony offense while on felony release, you're not entitled to bond.
Which felony did I commit? The burglary one?
The burglary, the aggravated assault.
Aren't those from December? These are before.
Nope, they're not. Some of them are from December. The criminal damage is from May 20th. The resisting arrest is from May 20th. And the aggravated assault is from May 19th. So you're going to be held without bond. Some of them do predate that, but some don't. You'll also be having a hearing. You'll have a hearing next week. You're entitled to a hearing to determine whether or not there's sufficient evidence to continue to hold you without bond. So you will have an evidentiary hearing on that on July the 3rd at 1:30. Your status conference on the charges are July the 3rd, also at 8:30, and a preliminary hearing on July the 8th. So you are entitled to what we call a Simpson hearing or an evidentiary hearing to determine whether or not you should continue to be held without bond.
Okay.
So your attorney and you can talk about all of that.
So I'll be, okay, for sure.
Other than that, the release conditions are the same, and I've given you your court dates, so that's that one. Number 34 is a misdemeanor criminal damage in the Surprise Municipal Court that just occurred yesterday. On that case, the court's found you to be indigent. The court will appoint counsel at the next court date. On this case, there's been a bond set of $500, but if the other cases are resolved, that could probably be reduced. But at this point, so that you're getting credit for the time that you're doing, there's a secured appearance bond set of $500. Our release conditions are the same as far as no contact with the victim, no returning to the scene of the alleged crime. Your next court date on that is an arraignment hearing on July the 8th at 1:30 in the Surprise Municipal Court. So that's the 3 cases. Do you have any questions, sir?
No, so my latest court date is July 8th.
Yes.
And then, all right.
But you have the evidentiary hearing on July 3rd where you can meet with your attorney and go over the new charges and the bond status.
All right, cool.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Atkins will be followed by Jillian Beeman. Sir, please tell me your name and date of birth.
Jason Atkins, 12/29/1976.
All right, sir, you're here on two cases. Number 17 is a failure to appear in the Superior Court in Maricopa County on the charge of unlawful use of means of transportation of classified felony. An attorney has already been appointed to represent you on that case. On that case, the judge issued a bond when they set the warrant of $500. I'm affirming the $500 secured appearance bond. If you post the bond, you're not to initiate any contact with the arresting officers, no weapons, no drugs without a valid prescription, no driving without a valid driver's license. You must continue to provide court or proof of your local address, and you must contact your probation officer within 72 hours of your release. Your court date is a disposition hearing on July the 3rd at 8:30 in the downtown Superior Court. Number 18 is another bench warrant in the Superior Court on the charges of possessing drug paraphernalia and false reporting. Your bond on that case was set as a secured appearance bond of $1,000. Other than that, the release conditions are the same. Your court date on that is a status conference on July the 3rd at 8:30 in the downtown Superior Court. Do you have any questions, sir? Okay, thank you, sir. You can step back where you were. Ms. Beeman will be followed by Pamela Cameron. Ma'am, please tell me your name
Julian Beeman,
and your date of birth.
12/2/86.
Okay, ma'am, you're here on two cases. The first is a warrant out of the Navajo County Superior Court on the charges of possessing narcotic drugs and possessing drug paraphernalia. The court's found you to be indigent. The judge at the next court date in Navajo County will appoint specific counsel. On this case, there's been a secured appearance bond set in the amount of $1,500. If you post the bond, you're not to initiate contact with any arresting officers, no drugs without a valid prescription, no driving without a valid driver's license. You're to continue to provide court proof of your local address. Your next court date on this case will be a arraignment hearing in the Navajo County Superior Court on July the 2nd at 8:30. On number 23 on the calendar, this is a new case in Maricopa County, charging you with possession of drug paraphernalia, possessing dangerous drugs, and taking contraband into a correctional facility. The court has found probable cause as to those counts. The court has appointed the public defender, Maricopa County Public Defender, in your case on that one. Bond on that case was also set in the amount of $1,500. The release conditions are the same. Your court date on this one is a status conference on July the 3rd at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on July the 8th at 8:30 in the downtown Superior Court. Do you have any questions, ma'am?
No.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Cameron will be followed by Isabel Lizardo. Pamela Cameron. And then Ms. Lizardo should be sitting in the chair by the door. Ma'am, please tell me your name and date of birth.
Pamela Cameron, 7896.
All right, ma'am, you're here on a probation violation out of the Maricopa County Superior Court for a Class 6 felony. The Public Defender's Office has been appointed to represent you. On this case, there's been a secured appearance bond set in the amount of $250. If you post that bond, you're not to initiate contact with any arresting officers, you're not to possess any weapons, you're not to possess any drugs without a valid prescription, or drive without a valid driver's license. You're to continue to provide court proof of your local address, and you must contact your probation officer within 72 hours of your release. Your next court date on this case will be a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on July the 3rd at 8:30 in the downtown Superior Court. Do you have any questions, ma'am?
No, sir.
All right, you can step back where you were, ma'am. Ms. Lizardo will be followed by Elder Byron Richardson. Ma'am, please tell me your name
Isabel Lizardo,
and your date of birth.
3/29/65.
All right, ma'am, you're here on 4 separate cases. First, number 30 is a bench warrant out of the Superior Court on the charge of possessing narcotic drugs, a Class 4 felony. The court has found you to be indigent. It's ordered appointing the public defender to represent you, which I think they've already been appointed. Bond on this case was set in the amount of $500. If you post the bond, you're not to initiate contact with any arresting officers, no drugs without a valid prescription, no weapons, and you're to contact your probation officer within 72 hours of your release. Your next court date on this case will be a status conference on July the 3rd at 8:30, with a possible preliminary hearing on July the 8th at 8:30 in the downtown Superior Court.
Your Honor, did you say that on July the 30th?
July 3rd.
July 3rd.
It's next week. It's next Thursday. Number 31 on the calendar, and your court dates will also be on paperwork the officer will hand you. Number 31 on the calendar is another bench warrant out of the Superior Court on the charge of possessing drug paraphernalia. Once again, the public defender is appointed to represent you. Once again, secured appearance bond of $500. The release conditions are exactly the same. Your next court date on that case is a non-witness violation hearing on July the 3rd at 8:30. Number 32 on the calendar is another bench warrant out of the Superior Court on the charges of possessing narcotic drugs, dangerous drugs, both Class 4 felonies, and drug paraphernalia, Class 6 felony. Once again, the public defender is appointed to represent you. Once again, a secured appearance bond of $500. The release conditions are otherwise the same as is your court date of July the 3rd at 8:30. Lastly, number 31 on the calendar, it's another warrant, probation violation warrant out of the Superior Court on dangerous drugs, Class 4 felony, drug paraphernalia, Class 6 felony, and criminal trespass, a Class 6 felony. Once again, the public defender is appointed to represent you. The bond is also set in the amount of $500. The release conditions are exactly the same as is your court date of July the 3rd at 8:30. So your next court date on all the four cases is July the 3rd. Do you have any questions, ma'am?
Your Honor, may I say something? If you have to go to court the 30th, will they still see you for the same charges?
I don't know what your court date on all of them is July the 3rd.
Well, because my lawyer called me and told me that to stay away from public, so the cops wouldn't get me to come here on Superior Court the 30th.
Okay. Well, the cops came and got you on the warrants, so your warrants have been served. Your court date is July the 3rd. You have a $500 bond in all four cases. Okay?
Okay.
You can step back.
Will they still see me on the 30th?
No.
It's Supreme Court?
First of all, it wouldn't be the Supreme Court, it would be the Superior Court.
Superior Court, Superior Court, I can't say that, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
No, they'll vacate that since you were picked up on the warrant. You have a court date of the 3rd. So I don't think you'll have a court date on the 30th, but I don't control that. All I control is the cases that are before me.
Oh, okay.
All right, good luck, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome, ma'am. Mr. Richardson will be followed by Michael San Pedro.
Good morning.
Good morning. So tell me your name and date of birth.
Odell Richardson.
And your date of birth?
1198.
All right, thank you, sir. So you've been charged with burglary in the 3rd degree, a Class 4 felony, criminal damage, a Class 6 felony, possessing narcotic drugs, a Class 4 felony. The court has found probable cause as to those charges. I just need to check one thing. We're going to have to reprint this. The court has found you to be indigent. It's ordered appointing the public defender to represent you. Sir, on this case, I'm going to release you to pretrial services. You just need to follow the directions. You need to report to them and do everything that they tell you to do. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. You're not to return to the scene of the alleged crime. You're not to have any contact with any victim or witness. You're not to initiate contact with any arresting officers. You're not to possess any drugs without a valid prescription or drive without a valid driver's license. You're to continue to provide court or proof of your local address. Your next court date will be a status conference on July the 14th at 8:30 with a possible preliminary hearing on July the 16th. But you need to make sure you contact pretrial services when you get out. You'll be given an envelope with directions about how to do that. You'll also be given a piece of paper with your court date. Make sure you make your court date on the 14th. Do you understand that, sir? All right.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a number, as you can see, a prison number. So I won't be doing no time. I'm getting released right now.
On this case, you're going to be released. I don't know about any holds or anything else.
Oh, no, I don't got none of that. I killed my number.
Okay.
I killed all that.
So if you don't have no other holds on this case, you'll be released to health services.
All right, thank you,
All right,
sir.
the officer will hand you some paperwork.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Mr. San Pedro will be followed by Fabian Godinez. Sir, step up to the podium and tell me your name and date of birth.
Michael Ramon San Pedro, March 18th, 1988.
Sir, you've been charged with criminal trespass, a Class 1 misdemeanor, and also criminal damage, Class 1 misdemeanor. At this point, the court does not think you're entitled to an attorney based upon the nature of the charges and the fact you're going to be released on your own recognizance. So at this point, I'm not appointing counsel. The judge and the city court can do that if they decide it's appropriate. On this case, you're going to be released on your own recognizance. You're not to initiate contact with any arresting officers. You're not to possess any drugs without a valid prescription or drive without a valid driver's license. You're to continue to provide court or proof of your local address. Your next court date will be an arraignment hearing in the Goodyear Municipal Court on July the 16th at 1 p.m. Do you have any questions, sir?
No.
All right, so you can sit back where you were. Fabian Godinez will be followed by Jabril Ponder. Sir, tell me your name.
Fabian Godinez,
And your date of birth.
July 12, 2004.
All right, sir, you've been charged with 1 count of organized retail theft, a Class 4 felony. The court has found probable causes to that count. The court has found you to be indigent in order to appoint a public defender to represent you. Based upon all of the circumstances in the case, I am going to release you on your own recognizance. Very important you make your court dates.
Thank you, sir.
You're not to return to the scene of the crime. I believe it was a Lowe's or a Home Depot, one of the two. You're not to initiate contact with any arresting officers. You're not to possess any weapons. You're not to possess any drugs without a valid prescription or drive without a valid driver's license. You're to continue to provide court proof of your local address, and you're to contact your probation officer within 72 hours of your release. Your next court date on this case is a status conference on July the 14th at 8:30 with a possible preliminary hearing on July the 16th. But your next court date you need to worry about on this case is July the 14th. You also have a probation violation case. On that case, it's also appointed a public defender. On that case, you're also going to be released on your own recognizance. The release conditions are otherwise the same. The court date is sooner, though. The court date on this is July the 3rd at 8:30. So you need to make sure you're in court next week on July the 3rd.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why do I got 2 charges if I wasn't doing anything? It was just one of them. It was for the theft. And then they said that should have been a misdemeanor for it. I just asking about it.
Organized retail theft is a Class 4 felony.
Yeah.
Organized retail theft is when you go into a location and you indicate that you're going to steal something to sell to somebody else.
Okay.
That's what they've alleged on the new case.
Okay.
All right, so you're going to be released on your own recognizance on both cases. The next court date you need to worry about is July the 3rd at 8:30. All right?
Okay, appreciate it.
The officer gives you some paperwork.
Have a nice one.
All right, Mr. Ponder will be followed by nobody because we're going to do an interpreter. Don't get the interpreter on the line right away because I got a DUI warrant I want to tell you. Give me a second.
Sir.
Oh, good morning, sir. Your name?
Jabril Ponder, 12197.
All right, sir. You're here on the charge of false reporting to a law enforcement officer. It's a Class 1 misdemeanor. Based upon the nature of the charge, I'm not appointing counsel to you. You are going to be released on your own recognizance. You're not to initiate contact with any arresting officers, no drugs without a valid prescription, no driving without a valid driver's license. You're to continue to provide court proof of your local address. Your next court date on this will be an arraignment hearing in the West Mesa Justice Court on July the 15th at 8:30. Do you have any questions, sir?
No, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, step right over there. Gee whiz. We have a bunch of ones. Hey, caramba. Okay.
Hi, this is Commissioner Peterson. I ready to explain on your warrant. I do swear from the information seen in the search warrant affidavit to reflect the best of personal knowledge and information based on personal knowledge. All right. I'm going to grant the motion. You probably try to start getting the interpreter online. Is this officer Hess? Commissioner Peterson, are you ready to explain on the warrant? I do swear from the information contained in the search warrant affidavit to protect the best of your personal knowledge and information to believe. All right, we'll grant the search warrant. That's way. All right, Santos Martinez. All right, do we have an interpreter on the line?
Yes.
Okay. You can start interpreting now. Sir, please tell me your name.
Señor, yo voy a ser su intérprete. Señor, ¿me puede indicar su nombre?
Marcelo.
Marcelo.
Your entire name?
¿Su nombre completo?
Marcelo Santos Martínez.
Marcelo Santos Martínez.
Sí.
And is your date of birth September 15th of 1997?
¿Y su fecha de nacimiento es septiembre 15 de 1997?
Sí.
Yes.
You've been charged with theft, a Class 3 felony.
Usted se le ha acusado de robo en clase 3 con fechoría.
The court has found probable cause as to that charge.
La corte ha encontrado causa probable para ese cargo.
I have also appointed the Maricopa County Public Defender to represent you.
También le anoté un defensor público del condado de Maricopa para que lo represente.
I am going to release you on your own recognizance.
Lo voy a liberar bajo su propio reconocimiento.
I'm going to tell you some of your release conditions. They will all be in writing.
Le voy a dar algunas de sus condiciones para de liberación. Todas ellas van a estar por escrito.
You are not to possess any drugs without a valid prescription.
No debe poseer drogas sin ninguna prescripción válida.
You are not to drive without a valid driver's license.
No puede manejar sin una licencia de conducir válida.
And you to continue to provide court with proof of your local address.
Y necesita continuar proporcionándole a la corte una prueba de su dirección local.
Your next court date will be a status conference on July the 14th at 8:30.
Su siguiente fecha de corte va a ser en estado de conferencia en julio 14 a las 8:30.
That will be in the downtown Superior Court.
Esto va a ser en la Corte Superior en el centro.
Do you have any questions, sir?
¿Tiene alguna pregunta, señor?
No, está bien, gracias.
No, that's fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. You can step back over there.
Okay, señor, ya se puede salir de la habitación.
All right, thank you for interpreting for us, madam.
Thank you for calling Ivory for your language needs. Bye-bye.
All right, while we're waiting for the next interpreter to get on the line, I'm going to go over the house calls. Number 1, the court's inclination is a, hold on. Yeah, number 1 will be held without bond. Number 26, Camposano, bond of $100. Berrigan, number 29, $5,000 bond. 25, Holguin, pretrial services release. And Ortega, an OR release. If the court does not follow its inclination, the court will come back on the record and make any corrections.
Cantonese.
Thank you. Oh, give me 1 minute, okay?
At the Merit.
She's online.
Okay, we have a Cantonese interpreter on the line?
Yes. I'll message
Okay,
you.
thanks. All right, if you could start interpreting for us now. Sir, please tell me your name.
Thank you. 你好，我係你嘅英文文翻譯，我翻譯我聽到你講嘅每個比對方便保密，請用簡短句子表達清楚。先生，請話俾我知你個名。
Yin Chen.
Yin Chen.
Is your date of birth November 2nd of 1982?
生日日期是否1982年11月2日？
Yes.
Okay, we're using an interpreter, so if you could respond in Cantonese as well, please.
不如你直接講廣東話，如果你係嘅話，你講係，跟住我幫你翻譯。
係。
Yes.
You're charged with taking the identity of another, a Class 4 felony.
咁你好似係被指控話你冒用其他人嘅身份，而呢個係一個4級嘅重罪嚟嘅喎。
And fraudulent use of a credit card, a Class 6 felony.
如果你係呢個即係欺詐使用信用卡咧，就係呢個6級重罪。
I have appointed the Public Defender's Office to represent you.
我咧係會指定一個公眾嘅辯護辦公室去代表你。
I am going to release you on your own recognizance.
而我咧亦都喺你自己認可嘅情況下將你釋放。
You are not to possess any drugs without a valid prescription.
你並不是使用任何嘅毒品喺冇有效嘅處方嘅情況下。
And you to continue to provide court or proof of your local address.
你繼續持有權利去證明你嘅本地地址。
Your next court date is a status conference on July the 14th at 8:30 in the downtown Superior Court.
你嘅下次出庭日期係喺呢個7月14號朝頭早8點30分，地點將會係喺 downtown 嗰個高等法院會議。
Do you have any questions?
你有冇問題要問？
冇。
No.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you for interpreting for us, madam. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a good day. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Do we have V in there? Okay. Oh, man.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Tell me your name, please.
My name is Juan Carlos Villa. My date of birth is December 2nd, 2001.
All right, sir, you've been charged with 1 count of sexual assault, a Class 2 felony, 1 count of sexual conduct with a minor, Class 6 felony. The court has found probable causes to those charges. The court has found you to be indigent and it's ordered appointing the public defender to represent you. At this point, because of the nature of the charges, you're not entitled to bond, so you're going to be held without bond. If that changes, if somehow you are released on bond at some point in the future, you're not to initiate contact with the alleged victim or any of the witnesses. You're not to possess any drugs without a valid prescription or drive without a valid driver's license. You're to continue to provide court with proof of your local address, and you must submit to DNA testing.
So I have a question, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't get released. Look, I barely finished probation. I finished a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I showed you guys I was on time. I was paying my fees. I was going to everything I had to get done completely. You know, and right now I was struggling to get a job. I applied Indeed 100 and something applications. Right now I barely had a job at landscaping. You can see my hands. I'm hardworking. I need it. You know, I want it.
Sir, you're charged with sexual assault. That charge carries with it a no bond status. You're going to be having a hearing on next week, and at that point, the judge could review all of the evidence and maybe change the decision. But at this point, you're not bondable. Your next court date is a status conference on July the 3rd at 8:30, evidentiary hearing on July the 3rd at 1:30, and a preliminary hearing on July the 8th at 8:30. So the judge on the evidentiary hearing could make a different determination, but at this point, you're held without bond. All right, you can go back to the office.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
You too. All right, I got a shit ton of warrants.
Are we off the record?
Yes.
into a box cycle, get to this point, right? But at this time, I highly advise you not to talk about your case. Because you're being recorded audio and visually. You may or may not be used this before a law, okay? So it's saying, if I'm a nobody, you're gonna be safe, unfortunately, with us, until you pay your bond, okay? If you get released, it's gonna be 4 to 6 hours per policy until you get released. Sometimes it's sooner, sometimes it's later, so it depends on how busy or how slow, okay? Any questions, comments, concerns? For the most part.
She's on her way.
Thank you. My partner went to go get 3 more. They're in holding right now.
Oh.
Yeah. 10-4, thank you. All right.
Let's have a seat.
All right, good morning. I'm Commissioner Procco. This is the 8 a.m. initial appearance calendar for June 28, 2025. The court's orders for the taking of fingerprints and DNA by the Sheriff's Office that were made on the first calendar of this month will apply to all matters on this calendar as well. All right, when you hear your name, please step up to the podium that's in the center of the courtroom in here. At the end of your hearing today, we will be giving you some paperwork, and that's going to go over everything we cover in the courtroom, which will include your next court dates as well as all of your release conditions. For those of you who will be out of custody prior to your next court date, I do recommend contacting the court in advance of that date so you can verify your hearing details. You can also see if there are other ways of appearing, since some of the courts are still allowing for virtual appearances for some hearing types. Please keep in mind you have the right to remain silent. Everything you say in the courtroom is being recorded, both audio and video, and could be used in a future court proceeding. We're going to begin today with Tommy Christensen. After that, it's going to be Christopher Bauer. All right, sir, please state your full name and date of birth. Your full name and date of birth.
Tommy Christensen, 9/1963.
All right, thank you, sir. So you've got two separate cases here today. They're both probation matters. They're here because warrants were issued in each of those for petitions to revoke, alleging a violation of terms 7 and 15 of your probation terms. So the public defender has been appointed. You do have a revocation arraignment hearing set on July 3rd at 8:30 a.m. Now, the first one that we have here is a non-bailable warrant. So this means you're not eligible for release in one of the cases pursuant to Rule 7.2 and 27.7 of the Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure. The second one is bondable, so I did affirm the bond in that warrant. That's a $2,500 secured appearance bond, just as long as you're being held non-bailable in that first one. You just want to keep that other bond in place, so that way they know you're in custody in both. That could impact your credit for time served. All right, do you have any questions regarding these matters? All right, sir, if you want to step over, you want to pick up that paperwork so you can have a seat. Thank you. All right, we have Christopher Bauer, and then Daniel White's going to be up after that. All right, sir, your full name and date of birth.
Christopher Bauer, 11/4/75.
All right, thank you, sir. So you are here for a new case out of Superior Court here in Maricopa County. The charges submitted are 1 count of possession of a weapon by a prohibited person, which is a Class 4 felony, and 1 count of possession of dangerous drugs. That's actually a Class 4 felony, even though it's marked as a 5 in here. Now, there is an additional count that was submitted. This is the only count I didn't find probable cause on, which is possession of narcotic drugs, which doesn't necessarily mean it's going away, but I was not given enough information here today. The Public Defender's Office has been appointed to represent you. You do currently have a status conference set July 3rd with a preliminary hearing July 8th, both at 8:30. In this matter, based on a review of your history, which already includes priors for the same offense for the prohibited possessor, you do have a bond. That's a $10,000 secured appearance bond. Your release conditions, as well as all of that information regarding your court dates, will be provided in your paperwork. But do you have any questions at this time?
$10,000, Your Honor?
That is correct.
Oh, I know.
All right, if you want to go and step over, you can go ahead and have a seat at this time. All right, so we do have Daniel White and Amber Rodriguez will be up next. All right, sir, your full name and date of birth.
Daniel Gregory White, born July 14th, 1974.
All right, thank you, sir. So you're here for a new case out of Superior Court. Your charges are 1 count of possession of a weapon by a prohibited person, a Class 4 felony, 1 count of carrying a weapon, a Class 1 misdemeanor. That's a failing to admit to carrying. So in this matter, the Public Defender's Office has been appointed. You do have a status conference set July 3rd with a preliminary hearing July 8th, both at 8:30. And those are going to be at the Superior Court in downtown Phoenix. Based on a review of your prior history, as well as the nature of the offense you're here for, specifically that it is a gun offense, you do have a bond in this case. That's a $2,500 secured appearance bond. All of this information will be provided to you in a moment, but do you have any questions regarding any of it?
I guess my opinion, I always make my court dates, so I'm very good at showing up for court.
And, you know, I noted you don't, because you have like no failures to appear,
sorry.
But I noted that they were early, right? I know that they were earlier in date. So I actually didn't even use those against you. Okay. What I am using against you is the fact that you already have prior felony convictions, that you're here on a gun offense. I didn't go quite as high as the individual who was here before you on the same charge because you don't have the same offense.
I do appreciate that.
Okay? But at the same time, you are going to have a bond today.
Okay.
All right? If you want to go ahead and step over, you can go ahead and have a seat at this time.
Okay.
All right, so we have Amber Rodriguez and then Bobby Bello is going to be up next. All right, ma'am, your full name and date of birth?
Amber Don Rodriguez, January 27, 1989.
Is it 87 or 89?
89.
All right, you're here for a new case out of Superior Court. The charges here are 1 count of theft of a means of transportation, that's a Class 3 felony, 1 count of possession of narcotic drugs, Class 4 felony, 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, which is a Class 6 felony. Those are the counts I was able to find probable cause on here today. There are 2 additional counts for dangerous drug possession as well as unlawful use of a means of transportation as a passenger, which I did not find probable cause on, which does not necessarily mean they're going away, but I was not provided with sufficient information here today. The Public Defender's Office has been appointed. You do have a status conference set on July 3rd with the preliminary hearing July 8th, both at 8:30. Those will be at the Superior Court in downtown Phoenix. Based on a review of your history, which also includes another prior of the same offense, you do have a bond in this matter, which is a $2,500 secured appearance bond. Your orders include that you are not to return to the scene of the offense, you are not to have any contact with any alleged victim, complainant, witness, or co-defendant in this matter, if there is one. Do you have any questions regarding that?
No, ma'am.
All right, if you want to go ahead and step over, you can go ahead and have a seat. All right, so we have Bobby Fellow, and then Armando Ganedos will be up next. I'm Bobby. Yes, Ms. Bello. All right, ma'am, your full name and date of birth?
3/25/93, Bobby Bello.
All right, so you are here for a probation violation warrant that was issued, which is for a petition to revoke file alleging a violation of terms 3 and 5 of your probation terms. The public defender has been appointed for you. You do have a revocation arraignment hearing set on July 3rd at 8:30, and that'll be at the Superior Court in downtown Phoenix.
Okay.
The bond in your warrant has been affirmed. That's a $550 secured appearance bond. If you do post bond and are released from custody, you're still on supervised probation. You do still have to abide by all terms, which does include contacting probation within 72 hours.
The bond is how much?
You're 550.
550?
Yep, that's the bond amount.
Okay.
All right, and it'll be in your paperwork as well.
Okay.
All right, if you want to go ahead and step over, you can go ahead and have a seat. Thank you, ma'am. All right, so we have Mr. Ganedo, and then Sosu Sandoval will be up next. Bless you. All right, sir, your full name and date of birth?
Armando Ganedos, 8/13/82.
All right, thank you, sir. So you're here for a bench warrant that was issued. This is for a failure to appear in CR 2025-000192. In that matter, you now have a status conference set July 3rd with a preliminary hearing July 8th, both at 8:30. Those will be at the Superior Court. And in this matter, the bond in your warrant's been affirmed. This is a $500 secured appearance bond. We'll get you that information here in a moment as well, but do you have any questions for me?
What have you been doing, huh? What have I been doing now?
So you have a bond that's been set that would be required to be posted prior to release. So if you're unable to post the $500 bond that you have now, you would remain in custody. You'd be transported to your next court date, which is going to be on July 3rd, so later this week. If you are able to post bond, then you would be released from custody. You still need to appear at those court dates. Okay? All right, if you want to go and step over, you can go ahead and have a seat. All right, so we've got Mr. Sandoval, and then Rachel Alexander will be up next. All right, sir, your full name and date of birth?
Joshua Sandoval, 10/13/89.
All right, thank you. So you've got 3 separate cases here today. I'll go ahead and start with the new matter that just came in. So this will be for a new case out of Superior Court. This is alleging 1 count of possession of narcotic drugs, Class 4 felony, 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, Class 6 felony, 1 count of false reporting to law enforcement, which is a Class 1 misdemeanor. Now, the Public Defender's Office has been appointed. You have a status conference July 3rd with a preliminary hearing July 8th, both at 8:30. In this matter, you have a $50 secured appearance bond. You primarily are getting a bond because you have 2 other probation violation warrants here, both of which you'll be receiving bonds for as well. Now, your 2 other cases are your probation matters, and they are each here because warrants were issued in those cases for petitions to revoke alleging a violation of terms 3 and 5. So the public defender has been appointed there as well. You have a revocation arraignment hearing set on July 3rd at 8:30. Each of those has a $100 secured appearance bond, so it's $250 total for all 3. If you postpone and are released from custody, you're still on supervised probation, so you do still have to abide by the terms you were provided, and that does include contacting probation within 72 hours. Do you have any questions regarding any of that? All right, so if you want to go and step over, you can go ahead and pick up that paperwork. All right, so we have Rachel Alexander, and then Terry Bearden is going to be up next. All right, ma'am, full name and date of birth?
Rachel Irene Alexander, July 19, 2005.
All right, thank you. So you are here for two separate cases here today. Now, each of these are going to be probation violation warrants that have been issued for you. So in each of your probation matters, there is a petition to revoke filed alleging a violation of terms 3 and 5 of your probation terms. So the public defender has been appointed. You do have a revocation arraignment hearing July 3rd at 8:30. And in each one of those, the bond and the warrant's been affirmed. The first one is $100. The second is $500. So it's $600 total for both. If you do postpone and are released from custody, you do still need to abide by the terms of probation, which does include contacting probation within 72 hours. Do you have any questions for me at this time?
No, ma'am.
All right, if you want to go ahead and step over, you can go ahead and have a seat. Thank you, ma'am. All right, so we do have Terry Bearden up next, and then Pierre Jones after that. And then full name and date of birth.
Terry Bearden, 9/27/68.
All right, thank you. So you were here for a probation violation warrant as well. In your matter, there was a petition to revoke filed alleging a violation of terms 3 and 5 of your probation terms. The public defender has been appointed to represent you. You do have a revocation arraignment hearing July 3rd at 8:30. The bond in your warrant's been affirmed, which is a $250 secured appearance bond. And again, if you do postpone and are released, you do have to abide by probation still, which does include contacting them within 72 hours. Do you have any questions regarding any of that?
No.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we do have Mr. Jones, and then after that, O'Neill Wilson. Hi, Mr. Jones, come state your full name and date of birth.
Good morning. My name is Pierre Taquan Jones. My date of birth is September 13, 1993.
All right, thank you. So you're here for a warrant that was issued out of the El Centro Justice Court. So this is a different case than the one that you were brought in on here earlier last week. So in that matter, an arraignment hearing is set July 2nd at 8:30 at the El Centro Justice Court. There is a bond that was in your warrant, which is a $500 secured appearance bond. So that amount's been affirmed at this time. Otherwise, the rest of your release conditions do remain the same. Do you have any questions regarding that?
Yes, so do I have a bond or?
You have a bond. You have a $500 bond from this matter.
Okay, so if I don't post that bond, then I have court July 2nd?
Then you have court July 2nd, yeah, so later this week.
Okay, miss.
Okay.
And may I ask exactly what the cause is?
You had a warrant that was issued for a failure to appear a little while ago, so before your arrest from earlier this month. And that is for an assault charge pending out of that justice court.
Okay, miss.
All right, if you want to go and step over, you can go ahead and have a seat at this time. Thank you. All right, so we've got Mr. Wilson, and then after that, Martha Reyes. Hi, Mr. Wilson, go and state your full name and date of birth.
10/28/85.
And your full name.
O'Neill Wilson.
All right, thank you. So you are here for a warrant that was issued out of the Surprise Municipal Court. So in that matter, you currently have an arraignment hearing set July 22nd at 1:30 p.m. I did see that you were a page 2, so in other words, you were brought in on something else prior to this warrant coming up.
I surrendered for 2 days, and I was doing that, and the fee was like $10. I paid it yesterday. I can bring it in on my court date. Just like
I was going to release you, okay? So, but here's the reason I'm asking. I just want to make sure that you're getting released in your other matter as well. But it sounds like your self-surrender was just for a 2-day term.
Yes.
Okay, so you should be okay then. So you don't have, assuming you have no other holds other than this one and the 2-day surrender. I'm going to go ahead and release you here today on your own recognizance. You just need to make sure you show up at that July 22nd court date.
Thank you.
So if you did already pay that $10 fine or the $10 bond that was in here, you just need to make sure you follow up with the Surprise Municipal Court on that, okay?
Yeah.
Because it's nothing showing up at this time, but it might be that you paid a fine and this is a bond and a warrant. So
I have a DUI and everything else, so I'm trying my best to pay everything, and I showed up for surrendering, so I'm not running from it or anything like that.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, obviously they just did a $10 bond on you.
Yeah.
So, which is the other reason I'm going to release you today. So just make sure you follow up with Surprise, okay? Make sure you show up at that court date or at least call in advance to see what's going on with it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, so we have Martha Reyes and then Catherine Stewart's up next. Hi, Ms. Reyes. Go and state your full name and date of birth.
Hi, my name is Martha Reyes, and my birthday is 8/7/82.
All right, thank you, ma'am. So you're here for a new case out of Superior Court. The charges are 1 count of forgery, Class 4 felony, and 1 count of possession of a forged instrument. That's a Class 4 felony as well. So they did submit some extra counts. That's for possession of a forged instrument, 2 counts of that, and then 1 count of theft as a Class 3 felony. I didn't find probable cause on those 3 counts. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going away, but I was not provided with enough information to support all of them. So the Public Defender's Office has been appointed. You do have a status conference July 14, preliminary hearing July 16, both at 8:30. Those will be at the Superior Court in downtown Phoenix. I am going to be releasing you prior to your next court date. You are being released, but it's subject to the supervision of pretrial services. You're going to receive some instructions in your paperwork regarding pretrial services because you have to stay checked in with them while on release, so it's going to include their contact information and when to contact them. You're also going to be ordered here not to have any contact with any alleged victim, complainant, or witness. You cannot return to the scene of the offense, so can't go back to that bank. Do you have any questions regarding that?
No, no.
All right, if you want to go ahead and step over, you can go ahead and have a seat. We'll get you some paperwork with it as well.
Thank you.
All right, so we have Catherine Stewart, and then Josephat Mendeville will be up next. All right, Ms. Stewart, all the way up to the podium, and if you could state your full name and date of birth.
Yes. Catherine Stewart, 5/26/1965.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You were here for a new case out of Superior Court. It is alleging 1 count of aggravated taking ID of another, a Class 3 felony, 2 counts of possession of narcotic drugs, Class 4 felonies, and 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, Class 6 felony. So the Public Defender's Office has been appointed. You do have a status conference set on July 14, preliminary hearing July 16, both at 8:30. Those are going to be at the Superior Court in downtown Phoenix. In this matter, you are being released today, but it will be subject to the supervision of pretrial services. So you're going to receive some additional paperwork regarding that process because you do have to stay checked in with them while on release. You're also going to have orders not to have any contact with any alleged victim, complainant, or witness involved in this matter. Do you have any questions regarding that? All right, if you want to go ahead and step over, you can go ahead and pick up that paperwork and have a seat. Thank you. Just the other way. Yep, back over to the seat. All right, Mr. Mendeville, and then we've got Luke Parr up next. All right, sir, your full name and date of birth.
120701, Josephat Mendeville.
You are here for 4 separate matters today. The first one is going to be for a warrant that was issued. This is for a direct complaint that's been filed. The charges in that direct complaint are 1 count of possession of dangerous drugs, 1 count of possession of narcotic drugs. Those are both Class 4 felonies, and 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, which is a Class 6 felony. So the date of offense for all 3 counts is October 9 of 2024. The public defender has been appointed to represent you. You do have a status conference set on July 14 with a preliminary hearing July 16, both at 8:30. Those will be at the Superior Court in downtown Phoenix. Since this is a failed summons warrant that you're here for, as well as the fact that I do recognize that it is from last year, you are being released in this matter, but it is going to be subject to the supervision of your probation officer. Within 72 hours of your release, you do need to contact probation as required by your current terms. You also need to obey the rest of your terms, or you could be subject to a further petition to revoke your probation. Now, your 3 probation cases are also on the calendar today, which are now here for Term 1 violations. So the public defender has been appointed there as well. Revocation arraignment hearing July 3rd at 8:30. In each of those matters, you have the same release conditions. You are being released on your own recognizance, but you are still subject to their supervision. So you do have 2 separate court dates that I gave you here. You've got the direct complaint court dates that I just gave you. That's that open case now. And then your probation matter, which is here first. That's July 3rd. Okay, do you have any questions regarding these?
No, ma'am.
All right, if you want to go ahead and step over, we'll get you paperwork for each case. All right, so we do have Luke Parr up next. Andrew Wright will be after that.
Your Honor, may I say something quick?
I'm going to go ahead and start first, and then if you want to say something, I'll let you speak later. You're here for a warrant that was issued out of the Moon Valley Justice Court. So in that matter, you have an arraignment hearing set on July 18 at 10 a.m. That'll be at the Moon Valley Justice Court. It looks like this is the first warrant issued in this matter, so I'm willing to give you another shot to appear at that next court date on your own.
Thank you,
You are being released on your own recognizance. It is going to be your promise to appear. You just need to make sure you show up July 18, or another warrant could issue at that time. All right, did you have a question or something to say, or
I
are you
just
all
want
done?
to say I already took a plea deal on this. I don't know how I got a warrant again. I went to court.
You got a warrant because they said you failed to appear. So any further questions, you're going to have to ask that court. They're the ones that issued the warrant.
Okay.
All right, so we've got Andrew Wright, and then Catherine Castro will be up after that.
Good morning.
All right, so your full name and date of birth.
Andrew Wright, 9/16/88.
All right, thank you. So you're here for a probation violation warrant that was issued, which is for a petition to revoke filed alleging a violation of terms 3 and 5 of your probation term. So the public defender has been appointed. You do have a revocation arraignment hearing set on July 3rd at 8:30. That'll be at the Superior Court in downtown Phoenix. Since they just did a nominal bond on your warrant, I am going to be releasing you today in lieu of that. So you are being released on your own recognizance, but you are still subject to the supervision of your probation officer. Within 72 hours of your release, you do need to contact probation. You also need to abide by the rest of your terms. A failure to do that could result in a supplemental petition to revoke, and I very much doubt you will get the same outcome at your next hearing here. Do you have any questions regarding that? All right, if you want to go and step over, you can go and pick up that paperwork over there. All right, we have Catherine Castro and then Rebecca Ivory up next. Ma'am, your full name and date of birth?
Catherine Castro, August 31st, 2000.
All right, so you're here for a probation violation warrant as well. In your matter, there was a petition to revoke filed alleging a violation of terms 3 and 5. The public defender has been appointed for you as well. You also have a revocation arraignment hearing set on July 3rd at 8:30, and that will be at the Superior Court in downtown Phoenix. Because you also had just a nominal bond on your warrant, I am going to be releasing you in lieu of that. So you are being released on your own recognizance, but you are still subject to the supervision of your probation officer. Within 72 hours, you do need to contact probation to check in with them. You also need to abide by the rest of your probation terms you've already been provided. I'll also warn you that a failure to do so could result in a supplemental petition to revoke or a bench warrant issued for your arrest, and I doubt you will have the same luck again. In other words, you'll be held on bond next time.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Any questions?
No, thank you.
If you want to go ahead and step over and go and pick up that paperwork, we've got Rebecca Ivory, and I show she is the last one here in the courtroom. Hi, ma'am, your full name and date of birth. You can go behind the podium there.
Oh, yes. Rebecca Ivory, February 22nd, 1979.
All right, thank you. So you are here for a family court warrant that was issued. This is a child support warrant issued in FC 2015-050960. So in that matter, that arrest warrant contained a cash purge in the amount of $500. Now, the cash purge that they set in these matters is the amount that you must pay in cash in order to be released from custody. Whether you pay the cash purge or not, I am going to be setting a hearing for you today. So that's going to be a status conference set on July 3rd at 10 a.m. That'll be at the Superior Court. That would be in front of one of the family court judges. So even if you do pay that cash purge amount, you are still required to appear at that next court date. Now, if you cannot pay the cash purge amount, that does mean you would remain in custody and you'd be transported to your next court date, which is that July 3rd court date. Under Arizona law, I cannot reduce the amount of the cash purge set by your family court judge. However, also required by Arizona law, I am required to ask you the following questions, which you can answer, but you do not have to. Is there anything you want the court to know about your present ability to pay the cash purge? And is there anything you want the court to know about being held in custody until the cash purge is paid? No. All right. Like I said, this is not an amount that I can otherwise reduce, so I am affirming the amount of that cash purge. That's a $500 cash purge, and I'm going to be setting that hearing for you July 3rd at 10 a.m. This will be included in your paperwork as well, but do you have any questions regarding it? Thank you. All right. Do you want to go and step over? Go down and see. Thank you, ma'am. All right. Looks like we do have a few house calls here, which I'm going to go ahead and put on record at this time. I'll start with Travis Slayman. Date of birth 3/23/1990. Looks like he is a house call due to being unable to function. General population. He's got 3 separate matters here today. The first one is going to be a warrant that was issued out of the West Mesa Justice Court. This is in TR 2025-104326. So in this matter, he has an arraignment hearing set July 2nd at 8:30 at the West Mesa Justice Court, since he is being held on some other matters here as well. He has a $50 bond in this case, and the public defender has been appointed as required by Rule 6.1. Next matter is going to be a probation violation warrant that was issued. This is out of Maricopa County Superior Court. That's for a petition to revoke filed alleging a violation of terms 6 and 7, and the public defender has been appointed. Revocation arraignment hearing set July 3rd at 8:30. And in that matter, the bond and the warrant's been affirmed. That's a $750 secured appearance bond. Next matter is going to be for a new case out of Superior Court. It's alleging 1 count of theft of a means of transportation, a Class 3 felony, 1 count of possession of dangerous drugs, Class 4 felony, and 1 count of criminal trespass in the first degree is a Class 1 misdemeanor. Public defender has been appointed. Status conference at July 3rd, preliminary hearing July 8th, both at 8:30. In that matter, there is a $10,000 secured appearance bond, with additional orders not to return to the scene of the offense, not to have any contact with any alleged victim, complainant, or witness, not to possess any weapons based on his priors. Armando Vittori, date of birth 10/18 of 74, is here for a warrant that was issued out of the Pinal County Superior Court. It is a probation violation warrant. In that matter, the arraignment hearing is currently set July 2nd at 8:30. The bond in that warrant's been affirmed. That is a $5,000 secured appearance bond. Our third house call is going to be for Marianne Gibbons, date of birth 10/15/73, who has 3 separate matters here today. I show that they are a house call due to being disruptive and tried spitting at staff. The last one, number 14, that I went for Mr. Latore, was in a house call due to being NASLA. So for Mr. Gibbons, he has 3 separate matters here today. The first one's a new case out of Superior Court alleging 1 count of possession of dangerous drugs, class 4 felony, 1 count of possession of narcotic drugs, also class 4 felony, 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, class 6 felony, 1 count of obstruction, a class, that's actually a class 2 misdemeanor, but it is marked as a class 1 misdemeanor here. Public Defender's Office has been appointed status conference at July 3rd, preliminary hearing July 8th, both at 8:30. In that matter, there's a $50 cash-only appearance bond. He does have bonds in his 2 probation matters also here today. Those probation cases are here for term 1 violations. Public defenders appointed in both of those matters as well. Revocation arraignment hearing July 3rd at 8:30. In each one of those, there's a $250 secured appearance bond. So I believe that is everybody. So unless I miss anybody, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recorder. All right. Let's have a seat. Yeah. Okay. All right, I'll watch for it. Do we know who it's going to be when they do?
Fernando is on the schedule.
Okay. All right, we will go ahead and begin then. All right, I'm Commissioner Procco. This is the 11 a.m. initial appearance calendar for June 28, 2025. The court's orders for the taking of fingerprints and DNA by the Sheriff's Office that were made on the first calendar of this month shall apply to all matters on this calendar. All right, when you hear your name, please step up to the podium that's here in the center of the courtroom. At the end of your hearing today, you will be receiving paperwork which will cover everything we go over in here. That does include your next court dates as well as all of your release conditions. For those of you who will be out of custody prior to your next court date, I do recommend contacting the court a couple days in advance of your court date in order to verify your hearing details. Please keep in mind you have the right to remain silent. Everything you say in the courtroom is being recorded, both audio and video, and could be used in a future court proceeding. We're going to go ahead and begin then today with Nathan Silliman. Sir, if you could step in the courtroom. All the way up to the podium. Sir, please state your full name and date of birth.
Nathan Silliman, September 3rd, 1990.
All right, and we do have counsel on the line for that. Let's go ahead and do appearances, starting with the state. Ms. Gahn.
Thank you, Your Honor. Brooke Gahn on behalf of the state.
All right, Mr. Keith.
Good morning, Your Honor. Corey Keith, appearing on behalf of defendant Nathan Silliman. I'm appearing virtually.
All right, Mr. Keith, I did receive a notice of appearance, but it did not indicate whether you would be appearing just for the IA or whether you'll be representing Mr. Silliman at all further court dates. Do you know how you're proceeding?
Yes, Your Honor. I spoke to my client after submitting, and his intent is to have me represent him for the entirety of the proceedings.
Okay, then I will go ahead and enter you as counsel of record at this time. Give me just one moment.
Thank you.
All right, sir, so you are here for a new case out of Superior Court. Before I get to the charges, I do note that I did receive a motion regarding sealing the Form 4 from the state. Ms. Gahn, I'm assuming that is because the victim is identified within the probable cause statement. Is that fair to say?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, based on the fact that the victim in this matter is a minor, and a full name is provided within the Form 4, and I do believe we do have an, it looks like we do have the Form 4 addendum in here with that information at least removed. We'll go ahead and grant that. So we're going to go ahead and seal this Form 4 based on that information so we can protect the minor victim's identity at least. All right, Mr. Silliman, you are here for a new case out of Superior Court alleging one count of child or adult abuse, a Class 5 felony, one count of disorderly conduct, that is a Class 1 misdemeanor, one count of criminal trespass in the first degree, which is a Class 6 felony. I'll let counsel on the line know that I did find probable cause on the first two counts. I did not find probable cause on criminal trespass in the first degree. But Mr. Keith or Ms. Gahn, if you want to address probable cause, I'm happy to hear from you. Ms. Gahn, anything further from the state on that issue?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Keith.
No, Your Honor, not at this time.
All right. So before I get to court dates, I do want to address release conditions, since that could impact what court dates are set in this matter. I did receive a written recommendation from the state, but Ms. Gahn, I'll let you address what you had in there on record now.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state does acknowledge that Mr. Silliman doesn't appear to have any prior criminal history. However, the state is concerned, given the nature of these charges, for victim safety. So the state is asking for a $10,000 secured appearance bond. Given that there were injuries to both the minor victim as well as the mother, we are concerned for their safety, and we think that that bond is necessary to ensure their safety. And the state's really not that much concerned in regards to flight risk, given that Mr. Keith has been retained. We don't have any concerns that Mr. Silliman will not appear for court. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Keith?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, as counsel stated, my client doesn't have any criminal history. He's extremely tied to the state of Arizona, has been here his entire life. Relating to the allegations, both parties concede from at least a statement in the Form 4 that mother was the person to initiate the contact. The parties were agreeing to an equal parenting time schedule with their child. My client adamantly denies a lot of the allegations that were made in the Form 4, but Your Honor, we don't believe that it's necessary for him to, excuse me. Apologies, Your Honor. Your Honor, we're requesting that the court release him on his own recognizance. We don't believe it's appropriate for him to have a bond that's set in this hearing. We don't believe that it's necessary. We don't believe the allegations warrant it. We do understand the seriousness with the child being involved. However, like I mentioned, mother was the person who admittedly initiated contact with father. He has every right to his child, to have his child in his arms. That's all he was doing. We don't agree with the fact that the child was being taken. For those reasons, we're asking that he be released on his own recognizance. He has, like counsel mentioned, retained my firm. I believe the intent is for that to be for the divorce and the criminal case. These parties will be separating. I don't believe there will be, and I've expressed to him that there cannot be any contact with mother. Secondary issue, Your Honor, pertaining to the child, we would ask that there not be restrictive release conditions pertaining to his contact with the child. I think the statements in the Form 4, the fact that the parties were in the process of agreeing to equal parenting time over this child, speak to father's fitness as well as potentially mother's fitness as well. But Your Honor, for those reasons, we're asking he be released on his own recognizance and that the court not impose a release condition pertaining to the child.
All right, thank you both of you. Mr. Silliman, I did review your criminal history or lack thereof. I don't see that you have any other priors or any other failures to appear, so I certainly have taken that into account, but I'm of course going to be weighing that against the nature of the charge that you're here for, which this court does take very seriously. I don't think this was just a minor incident. This is an incident that resulted in injury. So for that reason, and in taking into account that you don't have any other priors, I'm going to be releasing you today, but it's not going to be on your own recognizance. It is going to be subject to the supervision of pretrial services. So you are being released subject to their supervision, but you're also going to have electronic monitoring installed prior to release from this facility. That's being put in place because you are going to have no victim contact orders. The victim is not only your soon-to-be ex-wife or ex-wife in this matter, it is also the minor victim identified in this matter as well. You are ordered to have no contact with either of those individuals, at least until further court order. Given the nature of the charge that you're here for, this court does believe that that's appropriate at this time. That doesn't mean it can't change in the future once more information is provided, but based on what this court has at this time, I do not believe that victim contact is appropriate to any degree at this point. So in this matter, you do have two court dates currently set. That's going to be a status conference July 14 with the preliminary hearing July 16. Those are both at 8:30 a.m. Those will be at the Superior Court located in downtown Phoenix. That information will be included in the paperwork you'll be receiving. We'll also be providing that to your attorney, so they have that information as well. Your release conditions, and including the no victim contact order, also include that you are not to return to the scene of the alleged offense. It's my understanding that it's not your residence, so I don't believe you'd have any reason to go back there anyway. You're not to possess any weapons while on release. If there is an order of protection issued, you must obey the terms of the order that gets issued in this matter. I believe that is everything that I have in the release order at this time. Is there anything else that either counsel want to address before we close this matter? Ms. Gahn?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Keith?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, I spoke with Ms. Gons prior, and I don't know if that position has changed, but prior to this hearing, and I believe that the state was open to a consideration of allowing contact with the child if it were to be supervised. Your Honor, I would request that the court reconsider that position if there were at least a supervisor in place that would allow father to have supervised time with the child while we address this in the family court and potentially request to modify those release conditions. But if that's not opposed by the state, I would request that the court consider allowing him to have just supervised contact with the child.
Ms. Gothard, was there a position with respect to supervised contact with the minor in this matter?
Yes, Your Honor. The state would not object to supervised contact at this time.
All right, based on the position of the state, I'll change it to allow for supervised contact only. You are still not permitted to contact the other alleged victim in this matter, that being the victim's or the minor victim's mother, your soon-to-be ex-wife in this matter. Any arrangements that need to be made with respect to any visitation or contact with this minor child is going to have to be done through third parties. It cannot be done directly through her. I'm going to warn you right now that a violation of a no victim contact order in a criminal release order could constitute aggravated harassment. That is a Class 6 felony. If you come in here on a new felony offense while being on felony release, you would be considered to be non-bailable at that point pursuant to Arizona law. So you would just remain in custody. All right, do you understand that?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and change the release order then to reflect contact with the minor victim is permitted via supervised visits only. Anything further from either counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, Mr. Silverman, go ahead and have a seat. We'll get that paperwork out to you. We'll go ahead and close this matter. Thank you to both counsel for appearing.
Thank you, Your Honor. And thank you for the virtual appearance, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Have a good weekend. All right, give me just one moment so I can finish writing this in, and we'll go ahead and bring in our next matter. That's going to be Dustin Bellion. Okay, well, we'll see what happens with that, and then we'll figure it out by the end of the calendar. All right, that one's been signed. All right, so we are ready for, Mr. Bellion, I think you were just over there. Go ahead and step in the courtroom, and then we've got Ricardo Batista up next. Hold on, let me make sure. It doesn't always do that. Thank you for noticing that. I think I might have just not saved it after. Okay, looks like it stuck that time. Thank you. All right, sir, state your full name and date of birth.
Dustin Joshua Betelgeuse, 7/11/93.
All right, take the hat off in the courtroom. All right, so you've got two separate cases here today. These are both going to be warrants that are out of county. Okay, so these are both out of, I believe they're both out of Mojave County Superior Court. Yep. So in each of those cases are both probation violation warrants that were issued. They've set a hearing for you, an arraignment hearing on July 2nd at 8:30 a.m. That'll be at the Mojave County Superior Court. Each of these are non-bailable warrants. In other words, you are not eligible for release on either of these at this point. That's pursuant to Rule 7.2 and 27.7 of the Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure. So that does mean that they do need to come and transport you out here in order to attend your court date out in Mojave County, okay?
Okay.
Do you have any questions regarding that?
No, ma'am.
All right. I think we need to reprint one of his. We'll go ahead and get that to you. I had to take the attorney off on one because I had Maricopa County in there. If you want to go ahead and have a seat, though, we'll go ahead and get that over to you in a moment, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank
All right. So we do have Ricardo Batista and then Robert Lopez up after that. Do I have Mr. Bautista? All right, sir, all the way up to the podium. And if you could state your full name and your date of birth.
Ricardo Bautista, 7/27/1980.
All right, thank you. So you are here for an out-of-county warrant as well. Yours is out of the Yavapai County Superior Court. It is also a probation violation warrant that was issued out of that county.
Yes.
So in this matter, they've set an arraignment hearing on July 2nd at 8:30 a.m. That would take place at the Yavapai County Superior Court. Yours is also a non-bailable warrant. In other words, you're not eligible for release at this time on the warrant. That's pursuant to Rule 7.2 and 27.7. So that does mean Yavapai County needs to come and transport you out here or out from here to there in order to attend your court date with them. Okay? Do you have any questions regarding that? All right, sir, if you want to go ahead and step over, we'll get your paperwork to you in a moment. All right, we do have Robert Lopez, and then we have Mosiah. Phineas Braham will be up next. All right, sir, your full name and date of birth.
Good morning, Your Honor. Robert Lopez, March 31st, 1986.
All right, thank you, sir. So you've got two separate cases here today. So I'm going to start with the new matter that just came in. So this is going to be for a new case out of Superior Court that charges one count of unlawful flight from law enforcement, which is a Class 5 felony. Looks like the date of offense is back in March 18 of 2025. So the Public Defender's Office has been appointed to represent you. You do have a status conference set on July 3rd with a preliminary hearing July 8th, both at 8:30. That'll be at the Superior Court in downtown Phoenix. So in this matter, based on a review of your history, as well as the fact you're currently on probation for the exact same charge, you do have a bond in this case. That's a $7,500 secured appearance bond. Now, you do have your probation matter also on the calendar today. That is here now for a Term 1 violation. So in that matter, the public defender has been appointed as well. Revocation arraignment hearing July 3rd at 8:30, and because you are now here on the same exact charge, that you are being held without bond in your probation matter at this time. So that's pursuant to Rule 7.2 and 27.7 of the Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure. And we'll get you paperwork for both of these cases. It's going to have all that information in it, but do you have any questions regarding either one?
No, once I get my lawyer, I'm going to figure out the unlawful flight that's just been brought up on March 18th, but that's
Okay.
it.
All right, yep, you absolutely can do that. You have been appointed an attorney in each matter. All
Thank
right,
you.
if you want to go ahead and step over, you can go ahead and pick up that paperwork that's over there. All right, so we have Mosiah, Phineas Braham, and then Seth McDonald up after that. All right,
Morning.
sir, your full name and date of birth.
Mosiah, Phineas Braham, December 17th, 1997.
All right, thank you, sir. So you're here for a grand jury warrant. This is for an indictment that's been filed. It alleges 4 counts of armed robbery, a Class 2 felony, and 1 count of burglary in the first degree. That's also a Class 2 felony. The date of offense listed here is August 25th of 2024. So in this matter, the Public Defender's Office has been appointed to represent you. I'm sorry, it's actually the Legal Advocate's Office has been appointed to represent you. So same court-appointed counsel, just through a different office. An arraignment hearing is set July 3rd at 8:30 a.m. In this matter, there is a bond. The bond in the warrant's been affirmed. That's a $50,000 cash-only appearance bond. It's a $50,000 cash-only appearance bond. Your orders also include that you are not to return to the scene of the offense, not to have any contact with any alleged victim, complainant, witness, or co-defendant. You're not to possess any weapons while on release. Do you have any questions regarding any of that information?
Is the bond, release, is that like completely set, or
Is that what?
is it like completely set? Like there's no chances of like pretrial served?
Oh, yeah, it's not going to change today. Doesn't mean you can't speak with your attorney and see if there's a basis to readdress release conditions in the future, but at this point, no, I'm not going to be changing a bond that's that significant for these kind of charges. Okay? If you want to go and step over, though, you can have a seat at this time, but we'll get you paperwork that will have your information in it as well. We have Seth McDonald. After that, it's going to be Jesse Fleming. Seth McDonald.
Yeah, we're bringing them in right now.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Then we can go ahead and go forward with Jesse Fleming then. All right, sir, your full name and date of birth.
Jesse Fleming, 06/21/82.
All right, thank you, sir. So you do have 3 separate matters that are here on the calendar today. It looks like all 3 of these are going to be your probation cases. In each one of those, there was a warrant issued for a petition to revoke filed that alleges a violation of terms 3 and 5 of your probation terms. So the Public Defender's Office has been appointed in all 3 matters. Revocation arraignment hearing is set on July 3rd at 8:30 a.m. So in those first 2 cases, each of those has a $100 secured appearance bond. So in your third case, it is a $10,000 secured appearance bond. All right, so it ends up being $10,200 for all 3. So if you do post bond and are released from custody, you are still on supervised probation, so you do still need to abide by all terms. That does include contacting probation within 72 hours.
Yes, sir.
All right, do you have any questions regarding that?
No, ma'am.
All right, sir, if you want to go and step over, go ahead and pick up that paperwork there. All right, so we do have Dallin, Wilkinson, and then Jessica Romero is going to be up next. All right, sir, your full name and date of birth.
Dallin Wood Wilkinson, April 4th, 2004.
All right, thank you, sir. So you are here on an out-of-county warrant. In your matter, this is going to be out of the Mayor Justice Court in CF 2025-86. So in their matter, you've got an arraignment hearing set on July 2nd at 8:30 a.m. That'll be at the Mayor Justice Court. And the bond in their warrant has been affirmed. This is a $2,500 secured appearance bond. So that is the amount you'd have to post to be released prior to being transported out there. If you are able to post it prior to transport, you do still need to appear at your court date out there. Another warrant could issue. If you're unable to post it, that doesn't mean they need to come out here and transport you out there to attend your court date.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any questions regarding that?
I thought it was out of Yavapai County.
The Mayor Justice Court? I'm actually not even sure which county mayor is out of. Hold on. Yeah, it's out of Yavapai.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just, I'm assuming, it looks like these are felony charges, which would be out of the Yavapai County Superior Court, but they're likely just beginning, which is why they have it listed as a justice court right now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, so I'm sorry, we have the last one?
McDonald's in there.
Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to Seth McDonald, and after him, it'll be Jessica Romero.
No.
All right, sir, your full name and date of birth?
Seth McDonald, January 5th, 1998.
All right, thank you, sir. So you've got two separate cases here today. I'll start with the warrant that you have that was issued out of the Coconino County Superior Court. This is a probation violation warrant out of that court. They've set an arraignment hearing for you on July 2nd at 8:30 a.m. That would be at the Coconino County Superior Court. The bond in their warrant's been affirmed. This is a $5,000 cash-only appearance bond. So you're going to have two different bond types here. One is cash and one is secured. Your next matter that you have is going to be your open case that you have here now. So this is the new charge you just came in on. This will be out of the Maricopa County Superior Court. The charges there are 1 count of shoplifting, a Class 1 misdemeanor, 1 count of obstruction, a Class 2 misdemeanor. Those are the 2 counts I was able to find probable cause on. There are 2 additional counts here for aggravated assault, which I was not able to find probable cause on, which doesn't necessarily mean they're going away, but I was not given enough information to proceed on them. The Public Defender's Office has been appointed. You have a status conference set July 3rd with the preliminary hearing July 8th, both at 8:30. And in each of those, or in that matter, there is a $5,000 secured appearance bond. In that case, you've also got the orders that you are not to return to the scene of the offense, have any contact with any alleged victim, complainant, or witness, and may not possess any weapons while on release. Since you're on IPS, it looks like out of the other county, you do need to contact probation within 24 hours if you are released from custody. Do you have any questions regarding these matters?
No.
All right, so if you want to go and step over, you can go ahead and have a seat at this time. Thank you. All right, so we're back to Jessica Romero, and then Rodney Gomez will be up after that. All right, ma'am, your full name and date of birth?
Jessica Romero, 11/28/97.
All right, thank you. So you are here for a new case out of Superior Court. You've actually got 3 matters, but we'll start with that new case. So that's going to be for 1 count of possession of narcotic drugs and 1 count of possession of dangerous drugs, both Class 4 felonies, 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, which is a Class 6 felony.
Sorry.
So in this case, the Public Defender's Office has been appointed. You have a status conference set July 3rd with the preliminary hearing July 8th, both at 8:30. And in this matter, because you do have bonds in your other 2 cases here, which are your probation matters, you do have a $50 bond in this case. I want to make sure they know you're in custody in all 3 if you don't post these other bonds. So your next case, or your next 2 cases, are both your probation matters. The first one is for a petition to revoke filed back in February alleging a violation of terms 3 and 5. Your next probation case here is for a term 1 violation. So in each of these, the public defender has been appointed. You have a revocation arraignment hearing set on July 3rd at 8:30. In the first matter, there is also a $50 secured appearance bond. In your third matter, there is a $500 secured appearance bond. So it's $600 total for all 3. If you do post bond and are released, you're still on supervised probation. You do still need to abide by those terms. That does include contacting probation within 72 hours. Do you have any questions about that? All right, so if you want to go and step over, we'll get you paperwork so you can have a seat at this time. All right, so we do have Rodney Gomez. After that, it's going to be Andre White. All right, sir, your full name and date of birth.
Rodney Gomez, April 13, 1983.
All right, sir. So you've got 2 separate cases here today. The first one is going to be a probation violation warrant that was issued. That's for a petition to revoke filed alleging a violation of terms 3, 4, and 5 of your probation term. So the Public Defender's Office is appointed. You do have a revocation arraignment hearing July 3rd at 8:30 a.m. And in this matter, the bond in that warrant's been affirmed. That's a $750 secured appearance bond. Since you are still on supervised probation, if you do post bond and are released, you do need to contact your probation officer within 72 hours. Your next case is the new case you were just brought in on. So this is going to be for a new matter out of Superior Court here in Maricopa County. The charge is 1 count of possession of narcotic drugs, which is a Class 4 felony. So in that case, public defender is appointed as well. Status conference set July 3rd with a preliminary hearing July 8th, both at 8:30. In that matter, there is a $50 secured appearance bond. So in each of these matters, again, you do need to contact probation within 72 hours if you post bond and are released. But do you have any questions regarding either one? All right, sir, if you want to go and step over, you can go ahead and have a seat. We've got Mr. White and then Craig Heaps up after that. Hi, sir, your full name and date of birth.
Andre Jamal White, 11/13/1994 is the date of birth.
All right, thank you, sir. So you're here for a warrant that was issued out of the West Mesa Justice Court. That's in their case number, JC 2024-118953. In that matter, they've set an arraignment hearing for you on July 2nd at 8:30 a.m. That'll be at the West Mesa Justice Court. You get the address in your paperwork. You've got a number of warrants issued here. I think this is like the 7th warrant issued. So the bond in your warrant's been affirmed. That's a $500 secured appearance bond. Since I did set the bond in this matter, I did also appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you for that issue as required by Rule 6.1. Do you have a question?
Yes. I've been in custody for all of these warrants in the MCSO. I just got out of custody on the 25th, I believe. I was in custody for this matter on the court day, Your Honor.
All right, you're now on 7 warrants here. So, yeah. I mean, your best bet you should have done is immediately have gone and taken care of this matter.
When I got released just a couple of days ago,
this is now a point that you got to take care of with the West Mesa Justice Court. You're going to take care of it with them.
That's what I'm saying. They don't even give me the paperwork for the warrant. I've been here a whole month. I just got out of.
You knew you missed a court date, right?
I was in custody for the court date.
Okay, so you knew you missed it, because obviously you didn't go to it if you were in custody.
But they said the warrant has been issued since the 8th.
Now, you can talk to West Mesa Justice Court about that. You're now 7 warrants in, so you're not getting out without a bond being set. Okay? You want to go and step over, though, you can pick up your paperwork.
And they didn't even tell me I had to walk.
You can talk to West Mesa Justice Court about it. You're on 7 warrants. All right, we've got Craig Heath. After that, it's going to be Jeffrey McShane. All right, so your full name and date of birth?
Craig Heaps, January 2nd, 1991.
All right, thank you, sir. So you are here for a warrant issued out of the Encanto Justice Court. So in this matter, it's an initial arrest warrant that was for contracting without a license and a contractor advertising violation. Those are both misdemeanor counts with an offense date of July 24 of 2024. So in this matter, an arraignment hearing has been set on July 2nd at 8:30. You already have a hold in your other matters that you're here for, so I did go ahead and affirm the bond there. That's a $250 secured appearance bond. I did make a note in here that you're being held on other matters. So in this case, because I did set the bond that's in your warrant, I did go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office for that issue as required by Rule 6.1. Do you have any questions regarding that?
Yeah, am I going to be getting time served for this too,
So
since I'm in custody?
that's one of the reasons we set bonds in these matters when you're in custody anyway. Okay, so the first reason is so they know you're in custody, you get transported to your court date, okay?
Okay.
And the second reason is so that if you do end up getting time in this matter, that this could be considered time served. It's not a guarantee.
Right.
But it'll show up as being time that you were in custody for
and
this
they're
matter
both
as well.
misdemeanors. You said class.
Yeah, these are misdemeanor counts. It doesn't say what class. Hold on, let me see if it's on the actual warrant. I think they're misdemeanor ones, but let me look. It doesn't say. They're both misdemeanor counts.
Okay, I'll check with you.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Sir. All right, we have Jeffrey McShane. After that, it's Henry Traylor. All right, sir, your full name and date of birth?
Jeff McShane, 5/26/1960.
So you're here for a new case out of Superior Court. It's alleging 1 count of aggravated DUI involving a suspended license. That's a Class 4 felony, and 1 count of having an open container of liquor in a vehicle, a Class 1 misdemeanor. Now, in this matter, the Public Defender's Office has been appointed. You do have a status conference set on July 14, preliminary hearing July 16, both at 8:30. Those are going to be at the Superior Court in downtown Phoenix. In this case, you are being released, but it is going to be subject to the supervision of pretrial services. You are also going to be ordered to undergo alcohol testing and monitoring. Pretrial services will direct as to when that would occur. Among your terms are going to be that you cannot possess or consume any alcohol. Do you have any questions regarding that?
No.
All right, if you want to go and step over, you can go ahead and have a seat at this time. It'll be in your paperwork as well, though. We do have Henry Traylor up next. After that, Clarissa Ami. All right, sir, your full name and date of birth?
Henry Traylor, 11/29/80.
All right, so you're here for a warrant that was issued out of, let's see, I think this is a direct complaint. Yeah, this is a warrant that was issued out of the Maricopa County Superior Court. It is for a direct complaint that's been filed that alleges one count of theft, a Class 6 felony. The date of offense is February 19 of 2024. In this matter, the Public Defender's Office has been appointed to represent you. You have a status conference set on July 14 with a preliminary hearing July 16, both at 8:30. Those are going to be at the Superior Court in downtown Phoenix. I don't show that you received notice of the summons that went out since it was sent back return mail, so I am going to be following the PSA recommendation here. You are being released, but it is subject to the supervision of pretrial services. So before you go, you're going to get some additional instructions regarding that. It includes their contact information because you do have to stay checked in with them while on release.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry I don't know what it's for. I just don't know what.
I can only tell you that there is a warrant issued for that charge with an offense date of that date. Okay? I'm only seeing you on the warrant for the direct complaint at this point.
Okay.
So that when you go in for your next court date, you'll be meeting with your attorney, at least at that point if you don't speak with them in advance, since the public defender's been hired to, or been retained to represent you here, okay? Or appointed to represent you, rather, I guess is the correct terminology. You can talk to them about the actual allegations. I'm only seeing you on the warrant. So unfortunately, I can't give you any other information other than the charge and that date of offense. I can let you know that the issuance date for the warrant was January 3rd of 2025. So it was issued after the offense occurred. Okay? If you want to go and step over there, you can go and pick up that paperwork that's there. We do have Clarissa, Ami, and then Darius Grantling will be up next. Ma'am, your full name and date of birth?
Clarissa Ami, 92384.
All right, so you are here for a new case out of Superior Court. This is alleging 2 counts of burglary in the 2nd degree. Those are Class 3 felonies. I did only find probable cause for 1 count. Doesn't necessarily mean the other counts going away, although I don't believe they'll charge that, but I only got information for 1 count.
Okay.
The Public Defender's Office has been appointed. You have a status conference set on July 14, preliminary hearing July 16, both at 8:30. Those will be at the Superior Court in downtown Phoenix. In this matter, you are being released today, but it is going to be subject to the supervision of pretrial services. You're also going to be subject to alcohol and drug testing and monitoring. While on release, pretrial services would give you instructions regarding that. You're also ordered not to go back to the scene of the offense. You cannot go back to that residence, period. You are not to have any contact with any alleged victim, complainant, or witness. You are not to possess or consume any alcohol or possess any drugs without a valid prescription.
Okay.
Do you have any questions regarding any of that?
No, ma'am.
All right, if you want to go and step over, you can go ahead and pick up that paperwork over there. We do have Darius Grantling, and then Dalton Dubois will be up next. All right, sir, your full name and date of birth?
Darius Grantling, 04/24/1980.
All right, thank you, sir. So you've got 2 separate cases here today. They're both probation violation warrants that have been issued. In each of your probation cases, there has been a petition to revoke filed that alleges a violation of terms 3 and 5 of your probation terms. Though the Public Defender's Office has been appointed, you do have a revocation arraignment hearing set on July 3rd at 8:30. Those will be at the Superior Court located in downtown Phoenix. In each of these matters, because each warrant just had a nominal bond on them, I'm going to be releasing you here today. You are being released on your own recognizance, but you are still subject to the supervision of probation. So you do need to abide by all terms that you've already been provided with in these matters. You also need to contact probation within 72 hours of your release, which is also one of your terms. Do you have any questions regarding that?
No, ma'am.
All right, if you want to go and step over, you can go and pick up that paperwork so you can have a seat. It's going to be right over there. Yeah. Okay. All right, so we do have Dalton Dubois, and then Jonas Nar will be up next. All right, so your full name and date of birth?
Dalton Luke Dubois, October 27, 1992.
All right, so you're here for a new case out of the Surprise Municipal Court. This is for 1 count of criminal speed, a Class 2 or Class 1 misdemeanor. There's also a count for DUI. I didn't find probable cause on that 1 count. Doesn't mean it's going away, but I was not provided with enough information here today. I did find probable cause on the speeding count. So I don't show that you qualify for court-appointed counsel. You do, of course, have the right to retain an attorney on your own behalf. An arraignment hearing is set July 22nd at 1:30 p.m. That'll be at the Surprise Municipal Court. You are being released on your own recognizance today. That is going to be your promise to appear. The rest of your release conditions will be included in your paperwork. Do you have any questions regarding that?
No, Your Honor.
All right, if you want to go and step over, you want to have a seat at this time. All right, we do have Jonas Nar and then Brandon Warner up after that. All right, sir, your full name and date of birth?
Jonas Namete 2000.
Did you say it was 5/3 of 2000?
Jonas Namete 2000.
Okay, so you're here for a new case out of the University Lakes Justice Court. The charge is 1 count of theft, a Class 1 misdemeanor, 1 count of criminal trespass in the 3rd degree, a Class 3 misdemeanor. You're not entitled to counsel based on the nature of the charge, but you do have the right to retain an attorney to represent you in this case. You have an arraignment hearing set on July 15 at 1:30. That's at the University Lakes Justice Court. You are being released on your own recognizance. It is going to be your promise to appear at your future court dates. You're also going to be receiving orders here that you are not to return to the scene of the offense. You cannot go back to that location on ASU. You are not to have any contact with any alleged victim, complainant, or witness involved in this matter. Do you have any questions regarding any of that?
No, Your Honor, sir, sounds great.
All right, if you want to go ahead and step over, you can go ahead and have a seat at this time. We'll provide you with some paperwork as well. All right, hold on just one sec. I'll see if we have a interpreter on the line for our interpreter matter. No? Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, we'll go ahead and call in our next matter while we're waiting on that. So let's go ahead and, Mr. Warner? Oh, hold on. Hold on, Mr. Warner. I'm sorry. Okay, we've got the interpreter on the line. Mr. Warner, I'll call you right after we're done with these matters, okay? All right, so we're going to begin with Roberto Quiveda Leva. Hi, can the interpreter hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I do have you here on speaker here in the courtroom in Maricopa County. I've got 2 different individuals here who do need the assistance of a Spanish interpreter, and these are for legal matters. Are you able to assist us with that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so we've got Roberto Quiveda Leva. If you could introduce yourself to him and have him state his full name and date of birth.
Buenas tardes, seré su intérprete para esta llamada. Es un orgullo servirle a usted. Para efectos de entrenamiento y calidad de mi servicio, su llamada puede ser monitoreada. Si por favor puede decir su nombre completo y su fecha de nacimiento.
Roberto Quevedo Leva, 04-28-1986.
Roberto Quivera Leve, 04-28-86.
All right, thank you, sir. So you are here for a new case out of the Maricopa County Superior Court.
Muchas gracias, señor. Usted está aquí en un caso nuevo con la Corte Superior de Maricopa, el Condado de Maricopa.
This is for 1 count of robbery. That's a Class 4 felony.
Esto es para un conteo de hurto. Esta es una felonía de clase 4.
The Public Defender's Office has been appointed to represent you in this matter. You currently have 2 court dates. These will be at the Superior Court in downtown Phoenix.
Usted le han apuntado un defensor público para representarlo. En este caso, usted tiene 2 fechas de corte superior en el centro de Phoenix.
That'll be a status conference set on July 3rd with a preliminary hearing July 8th, both at 8:30 a.m.
Usted tiene una audiencia de confirmación el 3 de julio y el 8 de julio. Los dos son a las 8:30 de la mañana.
In this matter, you do have a bond that's a $1,500 secured appearance bond.
Para este caso, usted tiene lo que es un bond de lo que es de $1,500 como una de seguridad.
Your orders include that you're not to have any contact with any alleged victim, complainant, or witness in this matter.
Las condiciones es que usted no puede tener contacto con ningún supuesto testigo ni tampoco alguien afectado.
All of this information will be included in your paperwork that you'll be receiving as well, but do you have any questions regarding anything that I just went over?
Toda esta información está incluido adentro de los papeles que usted va a recibir. ¿Tiene usted alguna pregunta sobre cualquier cosa que le acabo de decir?
De los 1,500 pesos, eso, no sé, no entendí.
I didn't understand for the, excuse me, I didn't understand up to the 1,500.
So you have a $1,500 secured appearance bond. Since it is a secured bond, you are able to work with a bail bonding company in order to post that amount.
Usted tiene una fianza de $1,500 que de la que es una para asegurar su apariencia. Usted puede trabajar con una compañía de fianza si es que usted no puede reflejar esto para usted.
No puedo
That
pagarla.
is the amount that you would have to post in order to be released prior to your next court date.
Esto es la cantidad de que usted tiene que pagar para que lo puedan liberar antes de su corte que le toca enseguida.
Pero no tengo dinero.
But I don't have any money.
If you're unable to post bond, you would remain in custody at this time and you'd be transported to your court date that you have on July 3rd.
Si usted no puede pagar esto, usted quedará en custodia por este momento y lo transportarán a su fecha de la corte en julio.
All right, if you want to go ahead and step over, we'll get your paperwork, but you can have a seat.
Si usted se puede ir al otro lado y tome asiento para recibir sus papeles.
All right, we now have Amado Mendez Torres. We'll have him come in the courtroom.
Ahora tenemos a Amado Méndez Torres, si puede pasar a la corte.
If you could do the same thing, introduce yourself to Mr. Mendez, have him state his full name and date of birth.
Buenas tardes, seré su intérprete para esta llamada. Es un orgullo servirle a usted. Para efectos de entendimiento y calidad en el servicio, su llamada puede ser monitoreada. Y por favor puede decir su nombre completo y fecha de nacimiento, por favor.
Amado Salvador Méndez Torres, 2/15/1979.
Amado Salvador Méndez Torres, 2/15/1979.
All right, thank you, sir. You are here for a new case out of the El Mirage Municipal Court.
Muchas gracias, señor. Usted está aquí en un caso nuevo de fuera de la corte de El Mirage municipal.
This is for one count of disobeying a court order, that being an order of protection. That is a Class 1 misdemeanor.
Esto es un conteo de desobedecer órdenes de corte, que era una protección, orden de protección. Es una caso de clase 1.
An attorney will be appointed to represent you in this matter, but that'll be addressed by the El Mirage Municipal Court at your next court date.
Esto le vamos a apuntar a alguien que lo represente a usted, y esto lo van a hablar en la corte municipal de El Mirage cuando le toque la corte.
Which will be an arraignment hearing set on July 7 at 10 a.m.
Esto va a ser el 7 de julio a las 10 de la mañana.
You do have a bond in this matter. That's a $500 secured appearance bond.
Tiene usted una fianza de $500 como una fianza de apariencia asegurada.
You also have orders not to return to the scene of the offense and not have any contact with any victim or witness involved in this matter.
También tiene orden usted que no vaya a regresar a la escena donde ocurrió, ni tampoco tener contacto con la víctima, ni tampoco un testigo que estuviesen involucrado en este problema.
You also must obey the terms of the order of protection that's already been issued.
También tiene que obedecer usted los términos de la orden de protección que ya le proporcionaron.
You'll get some paperwork that'll include this information in it as well, but do you have any questions regarding anything I just went over?
Usted recibirá papeles que incluirán toda la información. ¿Tiene usted alguna pregunta de cualquier cosa que le acabo de decir en este momento?
All right, if no questions, if you want to go ahead and step over, you can go ahead and have a seat. Thank you, sir.
Muchas gracias. Si no hay ninguna pregunta, puede tomar asiento. Muchas gracias.
All right, I believe those are the only two matters that we had that required an interpreter. I appreciate your assistance today.
Yes, Your Honor. Pleasure. Thank you for using our service. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Warner, thank you for waiting patiently. If you want to go ahead and step back in the courtroom, we've got Sarah Hopkins up after that. And, sir, if you could state your full name and date of birth.
Brandon Warner, 5485.
All right, thank you, sir. So you are here for a probation violation warrant. In your matter, there was a petition to revoke filed that alleges a violation of terms 3, 4, 5, and 7 of your probation term. So the public defender has been appointed. You have a revocation or arraignment hearing set on July 3rd at 8:30 a.m. Those will be at the Superior Court in downtown Phoenix. Since they also did just a nominal bond on your warrant as well, and I do show you don't have any other prior reinstatements, and this is an undesignated offense, I'm going to be releasing you today to appear at that next court date on your own. You are being released on your own recognizance, but you are still subject to the supervision of probation. You do need to contact probation within 72 hours and otherwise comply with the remaining terms of your probation. Failure to do so could result in a supplemental petition to revoke being submitted. Do you have any questions regarding that? All right, if you want to go and step over, you can go and pick up that paperwork there again. All right, so we've got Sarah Hopkins and then Sergio Soto will be up after that. All right, Ms. Hopkins, go and state your full name and date of birth.
Sarah Rebecca Hopkins, 12491.
All right, thank you. So you are here for a new case out of Superior Court alleging 1 count of possession of narcotic drugs. That's a Class 4 felony. 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, which is a Class 6 felony. Those are the 2 counts I was able to find probable cause on here today. There was an additional count submitted for possession or use of a weapon during a drug offense, which I was not able to find probable cause on. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going away, but I was not given enough information here today. Now, the Public Defender's Office has been appointed. You do have a status conference set July 14, preliminary hearing July 16, both at 8:30. Those will be at the Superior Court in downtown Phoenix. And in this matter, I am going to be following the PSA recommendation based on a review of your limited criminal history. You are being released on your own recognizance. That is going to be your promise to appear. Do you have any questions regarding that?
No, ma'am.
All right, if you want to go and step over, you want to pick up that paperwork and have a seat. All right, so we do have Mr. Soto. I show that as the last matter, at least here in the courtroom. All right, Mr. Soto, go and state your full name and date of birth.
My name is Sergio Soto, November 3rd, 1971.
All right, thank you, sir. So you were here on a family court warrant that was issued. So this is a warrant issued by your family court judge for a child support arrest warrant. So in this matter, the judge assigned to your case has set a cash purge in the amount of $1,345. So the cash purge is the amount that you must pay in cash in order to be released from custody in this matter. Whether you are released or not released here today, you do need to attend a court date that's going to be on July 3rd at 10 a.m. So even if you post that amount and are released prior to July 3rd, you do still have to attend the court date on that date, or another warrant could issue at that time. Now, if you cannot pay the cash purge amount, you will remain in custody and you will be transported to that court date that's going to be occurring on July 3rd. Under Arizona law, I cannot reduce the amount of your cash purge. However, under Arizona law, I am also required to ask you the following questions, which you can answer, but you do not have to do so. Is there anything you want the court to know about your present ability to pay the cash purge? And is there anything you want the court to know about being held in custody until the cash purge is paid?
Yes, ma'am. I paid my child support for this month, and I have $500 in already of that purge. So how can that $500 be taken off of that? Because I already paid $500 of it.
I can't do anything about that. I'll look at your record again. I've already read everything, but I don't think anything's reflecting in here about that.
Yeah, because they told me that much. I paid the $451 my month, and then whatever was left goes on to the purge. So I know it was $500.
Yeah, at this point, this warrant was just issued. It was just issued June 24. So at this point, there's nothing else showing to reduce the amount of the of the cash purge that's been issued in this case. So this would be something you would have to discuss with the family court judge who issued the warrant, because they've issued a cash purge amount that we can't reduce here in this court. Okay.
And then the only way to get out is to pay that?
Yeah, you got to pay the cash purge, and then you would be released from custody. If you're unable to pay the cash purge, you would remain in custody at least till that next court date. That's when you'd be brought over on July 3rd to attend that court date. That's when you'll go in front of the family court judge again.
Do you know what day that is?
That's on Thursday. That's this coming Thursday.
Okay.
All right, if you want to go and step over, we'll get your paperwork on it as well. All right, so we have one house call here. This is going to be for number 12 on the calendar, Kevin Benali, date of birth 1/17/1984. I show he has a house call today due to being intoxicated. He's here for a new case out of Superior Court, alleging one count of disorderly conduct involving a weapon, a Class 6 felony, one count of discharging a weapon within city limits, also a Class 6 felony. Public defender has been appointed. A status conference is set July 3rd with a preliminary hearing July 8th, both at 8:30. And in this matter, there is a $15,000 secured appearance bond with the additional orders. He is not to return to the scene of the offense, not to have any contact with any alleged victim, complainant, or witness, and not to possess any weapons while on release. All right, I show that was everybody. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recorder.
All right. 25.
You may be seated. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the time set for the 2 p.m. initial appearance calendar for June 28th, 2025. The court's orders for the taking of fingerprints and DNA samples will apply to all matters on this calendar. I am Commissioner Dyer, and I just want to explain a few things to you before we get started. I am going to be calling each of you up to the podium one by one, where I will ask you for your first and last name and your date of birth. I will then advise you as to why you are here today, whether or not an attorney has been appointed to represent you, what your upcoming court dates will be, and what your bond will be if you are eligible for bond. Excuse me, some of you may have some questions while I'm providing this advisement to you. Just a reminder that some of you are entitled to court-appointed counsel, and you also have the right to remain silent. So if you have some questions, they should only be directed towards your release conditions and not about your actual case. Questions about your case should be directed towards your attorney. I caution you to abide by that because this is a recorded proceeding, and anything that you say about your case could be used against you. So at this time, I will call Mr. Lincoln Bryce, if you'll please come to the podium. And Jesus Rodriguez, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Hello, sir. Can you please tell me your first and last name and your date of birth?
Bryce Lincoln, 51195.
You are here today on 3 matters. You have 2 warrants for failing to appear for a court date and then a new court case, or a new matter. So I'm first going to advise you on the new matter. You were charged with, number 13, I have to fix. Okay, I am so sorry, I needed to. Okay, I've just corrected it. You were charged with 1 count of possession of a dangerous drug, a class 4 felony, and 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, a class 6 felony. I did find probable cause as to both counts, and I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a status conference hearing on July 3rd at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 8:30. Because you were on felony release at the time that these new offenses occurred, you're not eligible for bond today by statute. So I did set an evidentiary hearing for you on July 3rd at 1:30. Then as to your 2 warrants for failing to appear for your court dates, I did appoint an attorney to represent. I did not appoint an attorney, I'm sorry. An attorney was already appointed to represent you in both of those matters. On one of them, you will have a non-witness hearing on July 3rd at 8:30. And on the other, you will have a status conference hearing on July 3rd at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $1,000 per warrant, so your total secured appearance bond is $2,000. I would caution you against attempting to post bond. Posting bond would not secure your release since you're being held not bondable in the new case. So that takes care of everything that I needed to advise you of. If you have no questions for me, if you will please step to your left, officer, will give you your paperwork. Mr. Rodriguez, will you please come to the podium? And Mr. Acosta, if you will please have a seat in the chair. Hello, sir. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Jesus Otelo Rodriguez, and my birthday is 10/15/1999.
You were here on a new case. You were charged with 1 count of aggravated assault, a class 3 felony. I did find probable cause as to this offense, and I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You will have a status conference hearing on July 3rd at 8:30. You will then have a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $50,000. If you're able to post bond, you cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime. You cannot initiate any contact with the alleged victim, and you cannot possess any weapons. Failure to comply with your release conditions would result in the loss of any bond that you post. Failure to comply with release conditions or appear for your court date would result in the loss of any bond that you post. A warrant would be issued for your arrest, and additional bond could be imposed. This takes care of everything that I needed to advise you of. If you have no questions for me, if you'll switch your left, officer will give you your paperwork.
Go. Talk to me.
Does he have a question about bond?
I got it.
Oh, you got it? Okay. Mr. Acosta, will you please come to the podium? And Mr. Gerardo Reyes, will you please have a seat in the chair? Okay, sir, I'm sorry. Could you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Andre Acosta, date of birth 07/05/03.
You are here today because a grand jury charged you with 1 count of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and 3 counts of criminal trespass in the 1st degree, a class 1 misdemeanor. The date of these alleged offenses is August 10th of 2023. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this matter. You do have an arraignment hearing on July 3rd at 8:30. The grand jury warrant had a secured appearance bond in the amount of $15,000. If you are able to post bond, you cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime. I'm so sorry. My changes were not saved. There's lots of, I gotta fix this one too. You're not to have any contact with the alleged victim. You cannot, I'm going to start all over. You cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime. You cannot have any contact with the alleged victim or victims, and you cannot possess any weapons. Failure to comply with your release conditions or to appear for your court date would result in the forfeiture of any bond that you post. A warrant would issue for your arrest, and additional bond could be imposed. So this takes care of everything that I needed to advise you of today. If you have no questions for me.
And you said, what's the bond again?
Secured appearance, $15,000, so it's 10% of $15,000 plus collateral.
What's that, like 2,000, 2,500?
1,500.
1,500? Okay. And then collateral, what would the collateral
So
for?
that would be up to the bonding agency on what they would accept for collateral. So it varies from company to company.
Okay.
So you'll just have to call them and ask them, and they'll advise you what they would accept for collateral.
Okay.
Okay.
Good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you. Mr. Reyes, will you please come to the podium? And Mr. Hopkins, will you please have a seat in the chair?
Good morning, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Gerardo Reyes, 3/21/1972.
You are here today because you have a warrant out of Yavapai County Superior Court. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this matter. You have an arraignment hearing on July 2nd at 8:30. That warrant had a secured appearance bond in the amount of $10,000. If you are able to post bond, it is important that you appear for your court date. If you fail to appear for your court date, any bond that you post would be lost. Another warrant would issue for your arrest, and additional bond could be imposed. This takes care of everything that I can advise you of this afternoon. If you have no questions for me, if you'll step to your left officer, I'll give you your paperwork.
Your Honor, the only reason that I missed that court is I was in the hospital. I mean, ICEMAN. I've been fighting this case for 2 years, and that's the only
Okay, so I'm just gonna stop you. This is from Yavapai County, so I have no access to anything. The only thing my job is to do here today regarding your case is to let you know that there was a warrant that was issued, and this is the bond. I've appointed an attorney to represent you, and so if there's anything that you want the attorney to present on your behalf, then they would do that at the next hearing. I don't have access to Yavapai County. I don't have access to their court records to review.
Would I get transferred over there right now? I mean, right away, or?
So your paperwork will tell you where your court hearing will be. So once you get your paperwork, it'll tell you where your court, so you have a court date on July 2nd. So you will be seen by a judge July 2nd.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
If that's it, if you'll step to your left, officer will give you your paperwork.
Yeah.
Mr. Hopkins, will you please come to the podium, and Mr. Javier, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Well, sir, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
David Hopkins, and 7/21/64.
Thank you. You are here today on a new case. You were charged with 1 count of aggravated assault, a class 4 felony. I did find probable cause as to that offense, and I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a status conference hearing on July 3rd at 8:30. You have a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $25,000. If you are able to post bond, you'll be released to pretrial services on electronic monitoring. You also cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime. You cannot initiate any contact with the alleged victim, and you cannot possess any weapons. If there's an order of protection or orders against harassment that are issued, you must comply with the terms of those orders. You cannot reside at the same location as the alleged victim. You are permitted one civil standby with law enforcement to assist you in collecting your essential belongings. Failure to comply with your release condition, failure to comply with the no victim contact order in this case could result in you being charged with aggravated harassment, which is a class 6 felony. Failure to comply with your release conditions or to appear for your court date would result in the loss of any bond that you post. A warrant would issue for your arrest, and additional bond could be imposed. So this takes care of everything that I have to advise you of. If you have no questions for me, I don't know. Did I just tell him?
Yeah, just have a seat. I'll give you.
Thank you.
Mr. Javier, will you please come to the podium? Sir, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Ian Javier, 9589.
You are here today on a new case. You were charged with 1 count of aggravated assault, a class 4 felony, and 1 count of assault with intent to injure, a class 1 misdemeanor. I did find probable cause as to both counts. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this matter. You have a status conference hearing on July 3rd at 8:30, and then a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $25,000. If you are able to post bond, you'll be released to pretrial services with electronic monitoring. You cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime, you cannot initiate any contact with the alleged victim, and you cannot possess any weapons. If there are any orders of protection or orders against harassment that are issued, you must comply with those orders. You cannot reside at the same location as the alleged victim. You are permitted 1 civil standby with local law enforcement to assist you in collecting your essential belongings. If you violate the no victim contact order in this case, you could be charged with aggravated harassment, which is a class 6 felony. Failure to comply with your release conditions or appear for your court date would result in the loss of any bond that you post. A warrant would issue for your arrest, and additional bond could be imposed. This takes care of everything that I needed to advise you of this afternoon. If you have no questions for me, if you'll step to your left, officer will give you your paperwork. Thank you. Mr. Diego Hernandez, if you will please come to the podium, and I'm not sure if it's Jamie Knox, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Well, sir, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Diego Amar Hernandez, April 2nd, 1999.
You are here today for 2 matters. You have 1 new case, and then you have, there was a direct complaint that was filed. I'm going to first talk to you about the new case. In the new case, you were charged with 1 count of aggravated DUI, and a DUI, I believe it's the 3rd DUI, class 4 felony, and then 1 count of unlawful flight from law enforcement, a class 5 felony. I did find probable cause as to both counts, and I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a status conference hearing on July 3rd at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $10,000. As to your direct complaint, you were charged with 2 counts of aggravated DUI, DUIs that were based on driving with a license that was suspended or revoked for DUI, class 4 felonies, alleged to have occurred on May 24th, 2024. I appointed an attorney to represent you in that matter as well. And again, you have a status conference hearing on July 3rd at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 8:30. And you, in this matter, I gave you a secured appearance bond in the amount of $50. That is the bond that was noted on the direct complaint warrant. If you are able to post bond between your 2 cases, it would be $10,050. You'll be released to pretrial services where you are to participate in drug and alcohol testing and monitoring. Failure to comply with your release conditions or to appear for your court dates would result in the loss of any bond that you post. Warrants would issue for your arrest, and additional bond would be imposed. This takes care of everything that I have to advise you of this afternoon. If you have no questions for me, if you will step to your left, officer will give you your paperwork.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Knox, will you please come to the podium? And Mr. Tamar, will you please have a seat in the chair? Hello, ma'am, will you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Jasmine Knox, 3/27/1991.
You are here today because you have a new case and you have a direct complaint. I'm going to first talk to you about the new case. On the new case, you were charged with 2 counts of possession of a narcotic drug, a class 4 felony, 1 count of possession of a dangerous drug, a class 4 felony, and 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, a class 6 felony. I did find probable cause as to all the counts, and I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You will have a status conference hearing on July 3rd at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $500. If you are able to post bond, you cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime. And then as to your direct complaint, you were charged with 1 count of possession of narcotic drugs for sale, a Class 3 felony, and 1 count of use of electronic communications to transact drug sales, a Class 4 felony. The date of these alleged offenses is July 17th of 2024. I appointed an attorney to represent you in this matter, and the direct complaint bond had a bond in the amount, secured appearance bond in the amount of $2,500. So between your two cases, you have a total secured appearance bond of $3,000. If you are able to post bond, you do need to make sure that you comply with release conditions and appear for your court date. If you fail to appear for your court date, warrants will issue for your arrest, and bonds, an additional bond could be imposed. This takes care of everything that I have to advise you of this afternoon. If you have no questions for me, if you will please step to your left, officer will give you your paperwork.
I did have one question. So for the old case, I was in jail, and then they released me after 3 days, and then I went to court. They told me that there was no charges being filed. I had kept in contact with that for like 2 months, and then I had started working on getting my kids back, and then it just popped up. I had been making sure.
It was just filed on June 6th.
That's probably why. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, Mr. Altamar, will you please come to the podium? And Ms. Liggins, will you please have a seat in the chair? Hello, sir. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Leo Altamar, June 6, 2004.
You are here today on a new case. You were charged with 5 counts of disorderly conduct involving fighting, a Class 1 misdemeanor, and 4 counts of threatening and intimidating with threat of injury or damage to property, a Class 1 misdemeanor. I did find probable cause as to all the counts. This did not save my changes. Yeah, there's... Yeah. Okay. So, due to the nature of the charge, you are not entitled to court-appointed counsel. You will have oh, you know what? It was right. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I don't need to reprint.
You don't need to reprint it. This was me. Okay. I did find probable cause. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You do have an arraignment hearing on July 1st at 9 a.m. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $2,500. If you are able to post bond, you cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime. You cannot initiate any contact with any of the alleged victims. You cannot possess any weapons. You cannot have any contact with the alleged co-defendant. If there are any orders of protection or orders against harassment that have been issued, you must comply with those orders. You cannot reside at the same location as the alleged victim. You will be permitted one civil standby with local law enforcement to assist you in collecting your essential belongings. If you violate the no victim contact order in this case, you could be charged with aggravated harassment. Failure to comply with your release conditions or to appear for your court date would result in the loss of any bond that you post. A warrant would issue for your arrest, and additional bond would be imposed. This takes care of everything that I needed to advise you of this afternoon. If you have no questions for me, if you'll please step to your left, officer will give you your paperwork.
So is it only 10% of the?
It's 10% plus collateral of the $2,500.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Liggins, will you please come to the podium? And Mr. Aduelo, will you please have a seat in the chair? Hello, ma'am. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Shaniqua Liggins, May 23rd, 1976.
You were here today on a new case. You were charged with 1 count of aggravated assault, a Class 5 felony, 1 count of criminal damage, a Class 5 felony, 1 count of resisting arrest of risk of physical injury, a Class 6 felony, and 1 count of criminal trespass, a Class 2 misdemeanor. I did find probable cause as to all the counts. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a status conference hearing on July 3rd at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $1,000. If you are able to post bond, you cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime and you cannot possess any weapons. Failure to comply with your release conditions or to appear for your court date would result in the loss of any bond that you post. A warrant would issue for your arrest and additional bond could be imposed. Looks like you have a question.
Yes, ma'am. At this moment, I'm at the women's homeless shelter at UMOM, and I was supposed to be going into shared housing. If I lose that bed, I'm gonna be on the street, ma'am. Man. I will come to all the court dates,
So I'm going to ask you to have a seat. Please don't close her out.
Okay.
I'm going to recall your case. I'm going to go look at some more information, and I'll call you back up, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to, Ms. Liggins, I'm going to recall her case. I'm just going to ask her to have a seat inside. Mr. Aduelo, if you'll please come to the podium, and Mr. Moorfield, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Hello, sir. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Saul Aldelo, 41482.
You were here today because you have one new case, and then you have a warrant out of Pioneer Justice Court. On your new case, you were charged with one count of attempted disorderly conduct involving fighting a Class 1 misdemeanor, one count of obstructing or refusing to give your true name to law enforcement, a Class 2 misdemeanor, and one count of criminal trespass in the third degree, a Class 3 misdemeanor. I did find probable cause as to all three counts. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You will have an arraignment hearing on July 2nd at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $50. It is just a placeholder bond to make sure that you would be transported back for your hearing because of your warrant out of Pioneer Justice Court. In that matter, I also appointed an attorney to represent you. You will have a hearing on July 2nd at 8:30. That warrant had a secured appearance bond in the amount of $250. So your total secured appearance bond between the three cases is $300. If you are able to post bond, it is important that you appear for your court dates. Failure to do so would result in the loss of any bond that you post. Warrants would issue for your arrest, and additional bond could be imposed. So this takes care of everything that I needed to advise you of today. If you have no questions for me, feel free to your left.
Thank you.
Mr. Moorfield, will you please come to the podium, and Mr. Lastanao, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Hello, sir. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Jerry Moorfield, January 6, 1989.
Thank you. You are here today because you have a probation violation warrant. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this matter. You will have a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on July 3rd at 8:30. Your warrant had a secured appearance bond in the amount of $250. If you are able to post bond, it is important that you appear for your court date. If you fail to appear, any bond that you post will be lost. Another warrant would issue for your arrest, and additional bond would be imposed. This takes care of everything that I have to advise you of this afternoon. If you have no questions for me, if you'll please step to your left, officer will give you your paperwork. Mr. Lastanao, if you'll please come to the podium, and Mr. Gubara, if you'll please have a seat in the chair.
Hello, how are you doing, ma'am?
Can you say your first and last name and date of birth for me?
Martin Dandos,
And your date of birth?
June 5th of 2007.
You were here today on a new case. You were charged with one count of possession of a dangerous drug for sale, Class 2 felony. I did find probable cause as to that offense, and I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this matter. You do have a status conference hearing on July 14th at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on July 16th at 8:30. I am inclined to release you to pretrial services, but you do have to promise to appear for your court dates. Do you promise to appear?
Is that like the wristband on the
Well, I haven't gotten into what those release conditions are. The first thing I need to find out is, do you promise to appear for your court date?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your following release conditions are that I'm ordering.
Oh, sorry? Sorry.
I'm going to let you know what my release conditions are. When you get your paperwork for pretrial services, it'll include additional information such as the phone number for pretrial services, and they will also let you know what their requirements are.
Okay.
Okay? So I'm telling you what I'm ordering today.
Okay.
You cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime.
Okay.
You must appear for your court date. Failure to comply with your release conditions, including being on supervised release, will result in a warrant issuing for your arrest, and a bond will be imposed. If you have no other questions for me, if you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I didn't know we had an attorney.
Yeah, he just showed up right now.
For what matter?
First day, she's a house call.
Do we have the notice of appearance attached? I'll be with you in just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, I just added that information. Mr. Guevara, will you please state your first and last name and your date of birth for me?
Rafael Guevara, 226, 1987.
You are here today because you have a warrant out of Peoria Municipal Court. Due to the nature of the charge, you are not entitled to court-appointed counsel. You will have an arraignment hearing on July 17th at 9 a.m. I am inclined to release you on your own recognizance. You do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear?
I promise.
If you fail to appear, another warrant will issue for your arrest, and I will let you know that the suggested bond for you was $250. So I am giving you a chance. It looks like this is the first time that you did not appear.
Okay.
So I'm giving you an opportunity to go to court and take care of it, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Bland, will you please come to the podium? And Mr. Ware, will you please have a seat in the chair?
Good afternoon, Judge.
Hello, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Gustave Ray Bland, April 2nd, 1990.
You are here today because of a new case. You were charged with 1 count of possession of a dangerous drug, a Class 4 felony, and 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, a Class 6 felony. I did find probable cause as to both counts, and I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a status conference hearing on July 14th at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on July 16th at 8:30. I am going to release you to pretrial services, but you do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
You must comply with the terms of your supervised release as well as not returning to the scene of the alleged crime. You must also appear for your court date. Failure to do so would result in a warrant issuing for your arrest and a bond will be imposed. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that takes care of everything I needed to advise you of. If you have no questions for me, if you'll step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork.
Will I be released today? Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Mr. Ware, will you please come to the podium? And Mr. Crenency, I'm so sorry. I know I'm mispronouncing your last name, but if you would please have a seat in the chair. Mr. Ware, will you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Dejan Ware, 110305.
Thank you. You are here today because you have one new case and then you have a probation violation. I'm going to talk to you about your new case. You were charged with 1 count of possession of a narcotic drug, a Class 4 felony, and 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, a Class 6 felony. I did find probable cause as to both counts, and I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a status conference hearing on July 14th at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on July 16th at 8:30. I am inclined to release you to pretrial services. You do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear?
I promise.
And then as to your probation violation, I did appoint an attorney to represent you in that matter. You do have a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on July 3rd at 8:30. And on that matter, I'm inclined to release you on your own recognizance. You do, again, have to promise to appear for your court date.
I promise.
Please understand that if you fail to appear for your court date or comply with your release conditions, a warrant will issue for your arrest and a bond will be imposed. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that takes care of everything I needed to advise you of. If you have no questions for me, if you'll step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Mr. Crenency, will you please come to the podium? And Tiffany Knox, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Hello, sir. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Severjon Kusnichi, 11/18/04.
You are here today on a new case. You were charged with 5 counts of disorderly conduct involving fighting, a Class 1 misdemeanor, 4 counts of threatening, intimidating with threat of injury or property damage, a Class 1 misdemeanor. I did find probable cause as to all counts. Due to the nature of the charge, you are not entitled to court-appointed counsel. You will have an arraignment hearing on July 17th at 9 a.m. I am inclined to release you on your own recognizance. You do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear?
Yes, I do promise.
You have the following release conditions. You cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime. You cannot initiate any contact with the alleged victims, and you cannot have any contact with the alleged co-defendant, nor can you possess any weapons. If you do not comply with your release conditions or you fail to appear for your court date, a warrant will issue for your arrest and a bond would likely be imposed. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
This takes care of everything that I needed to advise you of. If you will please step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Knox, will you please come to the podium? And Mr. King, if you'll please have a seat in the chair.
I love your hair.
Thank you. Will you please say your first and last name and your date of birth?
Yeah, my name is Tiffany Knox, and my date of birth is February 4th, 1987.
You are here today on a new case. You were charged with 1 count of possession of a dangerous drug, a Class 4 felony, and 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia, a Class 6 felony. I did find probable cause as to both counts, and I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You do have a status conference hearing on July 14th at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on July 16th at 8:30. I am going to release you to pretrial services. You do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear?
Absolutely.
I'm going to let you know that I kind of wavered on whether or not to release you to pretrial services or to impose a bond because of past history of failing to appear. So I am giving you an opportunity to comply.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
If you fail to comply with release conditions to include not returning to the scene of the alleged crime, and if you fail to appear for your court dates, a warrant will issue for your arrest and a bond will be imposed. Do you understand?
Thank you.
So if you have no questions for me, if you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Thank
Appreciate you. Made my day.
Mr. Kang, will you please come to the podium? And Ms. Liggins, if you will please have a seat in the chair. Mr. King, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Anthony King, and my date of birth is December 25, 1990.
You are here today on a new case. You were charged with 1 count of criminal trespass, a Class 3 misdemeanor. I did find probable cause as to that matter. Due to the nature of the offense, you are not entitled to court-appointed counsel. You do have an arraignment hearing on July 17th at 8:30. Oh, I'm so sorry. This is not a new case. My apologies. This is a warrant from El Centro Justice Court. Anyhow, you're still not entitled to a court-appointed attorney. You do have a arraignment hearing on July 17th at 8:30. I am inclined to release you on your own recognizance. You do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear for your court date?
Yes.
So the reason why I am going to release you on your own recognizance is it looks like this is a failure to appear that just happened, and it looks like on a new case. The warrant was issued on June 13th. So make sure you go to court because the suggested bond, if you fail to appear for your next court date and you get picked up on another warrant, at a minimum, your bond will be $500.
Okay.
Okay? So do you promise to appear for your court date?
Yes.
Okay. That takes care of everything I needed to advise you of. If you'll step to your left, officer will give you your paperwork.
Thank you.
Miss, I don't see Miss Liggins. Oh, okay. Miss Liggins, if you'll please come back into the courtroom. Miss Liggins, while when I told you I needed to go back and research some things. I will tell you that what my concern was it was the nature of the offense.
I do apologize, Your Honor.
Okay, so you don't have to, it was just the nature of the offense. So I do tend to, I have to consider statutorily, I have to weigh the safety of the community, the serious nature of the offense, and your past criminal history. When I went and reviewed, I looked back over your criminal history, it looks like you don't have much of a criminal history. So I am going to order that you be released to pretrial services. So if we could reprint this one out. So I'm going to order that you be released to pretrial services, but you cannot possess any weapons. You cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime. And I did include some notes. So it is my hope that, you get into housing. I am familiar with U-Turn. I know that they also, some of those facilities do offer programs and services, and hopefully that'll be helpful as well. So just make sure that you do appear for your court date. If you fail to appear, a warrant will issue for your arrest, and a bond will be imposed, and then that's going to kind of be that, okay?
I appreciate it, ma'am.
Okay. So the officer has your court orders, so if you grab it from her, then have a seat. No. No. Are we just waiting for our transport to come?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for someone to come.
Okay. Do we just want to call the language line and try to do? We're going to try to do the interpreter matters now. We're going to try to do the interpreter matters now. We were just having a hard time trying to find an interpreter.
Your Spanish interpreter today.
Hello, thank you for assisting us this afternoon. Mr. Jairo Martinez, if you'll please come to the podium.
Señor Jairo Martínez, por favor, venga al podio.
Buenas tardes.
Hello, sir. Can you please state your first? Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Jairo Noveltaker
¿Me
Martínez.
puede dar,
Oh.
¿Me puede dar su nombre, apellido, fecha de nacimiento? I'm sorry, ma'am.
I just was going to explain to Mr. Martinez that if you requested a court interpreter, so when I ask you a question, you cannot respond without the interpreter first interpreting.
Okay.
Ok, señor, si usted pidió un intérprete para la corte, entonces tiene que dar espacio a que la juez pueda hablar en inglés, yo hablo en español, usted habla en español y volvemos así. ¿Está bien?
Sí, está bien.
Okay, so we're going to start from the beginning.
Vamos a empezar desde un principio.
Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Por favor, ¿me puede dar su nombre, apellido y fecha de nacimiento?
Jairo Nobel Chaiker Martínez, del 29 de julio de 1996.
Jairo Noé Martínez, July 29, 1996.
You are here today on a new case.
Está aquí el día de hoy, un caso nuevo.
You were charged with one count of aggravated assault, a Class 3 felony.
Sorry, ma'am, I'm having a hard time hearing you. Aggravated assault and?
Aggravated assault, a Class 3 felony.
Copy that. Ha sido acusado de asalto agravado y una crimen mayor categoría 3.
One count of DUI involving liquor, drugs, vapors, or a combination.
Un cargo de manejar bajo la influencia de licor o del vapor o una combinación de ellos.
A Class 1 misdemeanor.
Y eso es un delito menor.
I want to inquire with the defendant if he's understanding okay.
Señor, ¿usted está entendiendo bien?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And then you have a DUI with a BAC of .08 or more.
Tiene el manejar bajo la influencia de sustancias con un nivel de .08 o más.
A Class 1 misdemeanor.
Un delito menor categoría 1.
Madam Interpreter, for me, I guess I'm looking for clarity because the first offense was a felony. The last two are a misdemeanor, but it sounds like it just sounds to me like you're calling them all misdemeanors, and they're not. One is a felony. And so I just want to make sure okay.
No, delito grave y delito menor.
Okay.
El delito grave is the felony, and delito menor is the misdemeanor.
Okay.
I did find probable cause as to all three counts.
He encontrado causa razonable en las tres cargos.
I did appoint an attorney to represent you.
Aquí le asigné un abogado a que los represente.
You have a status conference hearing on July 3rd at 8:30.
Tiene una cita en la corte el 3 de julio a las 8:30.
You have a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 8:30.
Tiene una junta tribunal preliminar el 8 de... I'm sorry, what was the date, ma'am?
July 8th at 8:30.
El 8 de julio a las 8:30 de la mañana.
You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $25,000.
Tiene una fianza asegurada en la cantidad de $25,000.
If you are able to post bond, you'll be released to pretrial services.
Si puede cumplir con la fianza, lo van a liberar para los servicios de prejuicio.
You will participate in alcohol testing and monitoring.
Va a participar en consejería y
You will
monitoreo.
You will also be released on electronic monitoring.
También lo van a liberar con monitoreo electrónico.
You cannot initiate any contact with the alleged victims.
No puede iniciar ningún contacto con la víctima.
Failure to comply with your release conditions.
Puede cumplir con las condiciones de su liberación.
And failure to appear for your court dates.
Y la falla de no aparecer en su día
will result in the loss of any bond that you post.
Va a resultar en la pérdida de cualquier fianza que usted haya pagado.
A warrant would be issued for your arrest.
Se le va a emitir
and a
una
bond
orden
would,
para su arresto.
and additional bond would be imposed.
Y una fianza adicional se le va a imponer.
This completes my advisement to you.
Please repeat, ma'am.
This completes my advisement.
Completa mi consejo a usted.
If you have no questions for me,
Si no tiene ninguna pregunta para mí,
please step to your left.
por favor, diríjase a la izquierda
And the officer will give you your paperwork.
y el funcionario le va a dar sus documentos.
No, está. Sin preguntas.
Perdón, señor.
Quería hacer una pregunta.
I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Sobre la fianza, ¿todo se tiene que dar junto o se puede dar a pagos? Eso no entendí.
Regarding the bond, does it have to be all at once, or can it be payments be made?
So your bond will be 10% of $25,000
Su fianza sería 10% de $25,000
plus collateral.
más colateral.
A bonding agency will decide what collateral they will accept.
Una agencia de fianza va a decidir cuál es el colateral que ellos van a aceptar.
You must pay the $2,500 to be released.
Tiene que pagar los $2,500 para que lo liberen.
$2,500 is 10% of $25,000.
$2,500 es 10% de $25,000.
Ok, está bien.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you. You step to your left. Mr. Fernando Ramirez, will you please come to the podium? The interpreter just hung up on us.
Want me to stand by there?
That's,
Well, if you want, I can clear the room and bring him back at the end.
let's do that because it's taking us a while.
Le vamos a hacer le voy a hacer la corte esta noche. Just to drop them all back.
Mr. Diaz, will you please come to the podium? Sir, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Yes, my name is Jaime Diaz, 10/30/77.
You were here today for a new case. You were charged with one count of child abuse, a class 4 felony. I did find probable cause as to that offense, and I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You will have a status conference hearing on July 3rd at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $15,000. If you are able to post bond, you'll be released to pretrial services on electronic monitoring. You cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime, and you cannot initiate any contact with the alleged victim, and you cannot possess any weapons. You cannot reside at the same location as the alleged victim, and you are permitted one civil standby with local law enforcement to assist you in collecting your essential belongings. I will just note that prior to the hearing, the court did review the victim impact statement. The court did consider the wishes of the alleged victim. I also included as a special condition that supervised contact with the minor child will be permitted if ordered by family court. Failure to comply with your release conditions or appear for your court dates would result in the loss of any bond that you post. A warrant would issue for your arrest and additional bond could be imposed. This takes care of everything that I needed to advise you of this afternoon. If you have no questions for me, if you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Thank you.
What is 10% of 15?
10% of $15,000 is $1,500.
So it won't be released?
If you are not able to post the $1,500, you will not be released.
I have a question. If I can get my phone to get contacts, like
So I believe you'll have to talk to the
I don't
deputies
have
about
no
that.
way of contacting nobody.
So the deputies will tell you about how inventory property is collected. I don't know regarding that issue, so you'd have to talk to them.
All right.
And there's also information back there regarding the different bail bondsman agencies that will also, that you can talk to and you can find out about bond.
Thank you.
Lizama, do you have an interpreter yet?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Hello, is the interpreter able to hear the court?
I can.
Okay, we are, you can hear the court?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, so we're just waiting. They're going to be bringing the gentleman in that requires your assistance. Mr. Ramirez, will you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Hola, buenas tardes. Yo voy a ser su intérprete el día de hoy. Señor Ramírez, por favor, puede decir su primer nombre y su apellido, su nombre y su fecha de nacimiento.
Fernando López Ramírez, 27 de junio de 1992.
Fernando López Ramírez, June 27, 1992.
You were here today on a new case.
Estaba aquí usted hoy en un caso nuevo.
You were charged with 1 count of possession of a dangerous drug.
Estaba usted aquí en posesión de, this is the interpreter speaking, of a dangerous
Yes. Of a dangerous drug.
Drug, thank you. Usted estaba aquí en posesión de una droga peligrosa.
A class 4 felony.
¿Qué es una felonía?
I did find probable cause as to that offense.
Sí, encontré caso probable sobre esa ofensa.
I did appoint an attorney to represent you.
Y sí, asigné a un abogado para que lo represente.
You will have a status conference hearing on July 14th at 8:30.
Usted va a tener una conferencia, una junta a las julio 14 a las 8:30.
And you will have a preliminary hearing on July 16th at 8:30.
Y usted después va a tener una junta, una audiencia en julio 16 a las 8:30.
I am going to release you on your own recognizance.
Yo lo voy a liberar por su propia cuenta.
Which means I am releasing you without bond.
Lo que quiere decir que lo estoy dejando ir sin ninguna fianza.
But you must promise to appear for your court dates.
Pero tiene que prometer que usted va a comparecer a su fecha de corte.
Do you promise to appear for your court dates?
¿Promete usted comparecer en su fecha de corte?
Sí, prometo.
I promise.
Failure to appear for your court dates
¿Eso quiere decir que usted va a aparecer en su fecha de corte?
will result in a warrant issuing for your arrest.
Si acaso usted no aparece, entonces se le hará una orden de arresto.
And a bond will be imposed.
Y se le va a imponer una fianza.
This completes my advisement to you.
Bien, esto completa mi consejo para usted.
If you have no questions for me,
Si usted no tiene ninguna pregunta para mí,
will you please step to the left and the officer will give you your paperwork.
por favor puede pararse y el oficial le va a dar sus papeles.
Muchas gracias.
Madam Interpreter, thank you. Madam Interpreter, thank you for assisting us. Thank you. You may be excused.
Thank you for using our services.
Brooke is on the line. Okay. Okay, so are we taking the iPad back to her and then council is going to be up here, or are we bringing?
I'm going to take the tablet and the council back to the.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Your Honor.
Okay, the mic for the iPad is muted.
Your Honor, can you hear us?
Yes.
Your Honor,
Okay.
can I have a minute to consult with my client? I literally just got back here with her. I'd be able to
Okay,
have
well, just,
about-
I guess, when you're ready, just turn your mic and video. You can turn everything off, and when you're ready, when you turn everything on, we'll know that you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor.
Okay, all right, we are calling Sarah Atterbury Davis. Counsel for the state, would you like to state your appearance? Ms. Gaunt?
Can you hear me, Your Honor?
I can.
Oh, sorry about that. Brooke Gaunt on behalf of the state.
Thank you. Mr. Eisman, would you like to state your appearance right now?
Yes, Your Honor, and excuse me not standing, it's just so that we can both be in the frame together here with you. Jonathan, it's been a very long on behalf of here.
And Ms. Atterbury Davis, can you state your first and last name and your date of birth? So I am having some difficulty hearing you, so can you just confirm that your name is Sarah Elizabeth Atterbury Davis?
Yes, Your Honor.
And can you confirm that your date of birth is December 21st, 1991? I'm not able to hear you. Can you just shake your head yes or give me a thumbs up that that is your birthday? Thank you. Ms. Atterbury, you are here today on a new case. You were charged with 1 count of aggravated assault with serious physical injury, a Class 3 felony, 1 count of criminal damage, a Class 4 felony, 1 count of aggravated assault on a first responder, a Class 5 felony, 2 counts of aggravated DUI with a passenger under the age of 15, a Class 6 felony, and 4 counts of endangerment, a Class 6 felony. Mr. Isbin, did you want to be heard on probable cause?
Yes, Your Honor. At this point, we don't have any of the Ox results or any of the BAC results, at least none that I've seen here, Your Honor. So as far as the allegations with regard to UI, nothing from what I see here indicates any field sobriety test or anything. Obviously, with regard to the damage to the property, we can see that there is probable cause on that. If the endangerment would dovetail with the BAC, so those results really haven't come to fruition yet. As far as the serious injury with regard to the officer, I don't see any affidavit. I don't see anything here presenting forth the fact that happened.
Ms. Gaunt?
Thank you, Your Honor. I do agree with counsel. I think, unfortunately, law enforcement charged her under the incorrect statute for ag DUI with the passenger under 15 because it doesn't appear that either they didn't administer a breath test or if they did, the results are not included in the Form 4. I do believe that there is enough information given the extent of the accident and the property damage, as well as injuries for the court to find probable cause on the endangerment, as well as the criminal damage for the aggravated assault, serious physical injury. One of the other passenger or driver in the other vehicle suffered a significant injury, a brain bleed that the hospital staff has described as life-threatening. So I do believe that that meets the statutory definition for aggravated assault, serious physical injury. The Form 4 does indicate that she allegedly kicked an officer in their upper right thigh, leaving the visible footprint on the officer's pants. So I do believe there's enough information for that to find probable cause on that charge as well, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Your Honor, if I may, just a couple of points. While we have the allegations, my client with DUI without any substantiated BAC or blood work, We don't know whether the other driver was under the influence. We don't know whether the other driver was also administered a field sobriety test or not. We're presuming that based just on what's here. But without that, all of these same allegations could go the other way against the other driver. We really don't have probable cause, realistically, for anything other than the criminal damage to the fence, but we don't also have any intent with that. We don't have any documentation of the accident itself. We don't know whether the other car caused the accident. There's nothing in this form that talks about what way either was traveling, was in what lane. So from this, we don't know whether it's my client who caused the accident, or my client who was allegedly under the influence of alcohol, or it was my client who caused the criminal damage, or whether it was the other driver who was under the influence, caused the accident, caused the criminal damage, thereby causing the injury. At best, all we have is a line allegation that the client allegedly kicked uniformed officer on the right side with an invisible footprint. We have no allegation of any injuries to him. We don't know whether with this kicking, dealing with children taken. Realistically, Your Honor, all we have here are really just stated allegations that could just as easily apply to the other driver.
Okay, so this is what I am finding at this time. I did not find probable cause as to the aggravated DUI counts, but I did find probable cause as to the remaining counts. Because, I don't know, sir, is this a full notice of appearance or is this a limited notice of appearance?
It's a full notice of appearance.
Okay, I did speak previously. I was not aware that counsel had been retained, so I did make a finding of indigency, which is also reflected in the order. I am ordering, and so there is and also I did have to make some corrections on the release order, and that will be brought back momentarily. There is a status conference hearing. There's a status conference. If I may just be able to speak without interruption, just to kind of get through some things, and then we can circle back, just regarding release conditions. But I just needed to let you know what the court dates were. So there is a status conference hearing on July 3rd at 8:30, and a preliminary hearing on July 8th at 8:30. I'm not sure if state's recommendations were provided to counsel. Okay, so I will defer to Ms. Gott at this time to put the state's position on the record for the benefit of counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor, and I apologize that I didn't know that counsel was going to appear ahead of time to be able to provide him with a copy of the written recommendation. Your Honor, the state is asking for a $25,000 secured appearance bond, and if Ms. Atterbury Davis is able to post that, we'd ask for pretrial services with alcohol testing and monitoring and no operating of a motor vehicle. Our understanding, at least from my review, I don't believe that Ms. Atterbury Davis has any prior criminal history. However, the state is very concerned about these allegations. I would supplement the factual information that's been provided. It's my understanding that one of Ms. Atterbury Davis's children, her daughter, actually indicated to law enforcement that she believed that her mother was driving approximately 110 miles an hour at the time. And obviously there's the allegation she was impaired, not only with her children in the vehicle, but then also caused this major collision with another vehicle and a block wall of a residence. All three passengers in the vehicle were injured, and as I indicated previously, one is unfortunately in the ICU suffering from a brain bleed, which the medical professionals are considering life-threatening. We are very concerned about her behavior, and then the behavior after the collision in terms of her aggressiveness with law enforcement, we are concerned that she is a danger to the community, and so we believe that that bond is necessary. Thank you.
I will also make a record that prior to the calendar beginning, the court did receive a victim impact statement that I did review as well. Counsel, for Ms. Atterbury Davis, anything that you would like to be heard on now regarding this condition?
Sure. A couple of things to start. While Ms. Atterbury Davis is not indigent, she is in not great economic shape. She was a prior client that helped work in our office as a paralegal. She's trying to do that. $25,000 bond, equivalent of putting her in here and not get out at all. Again, what statement with regard to the alleged statement, a minor child who would be incompetent really to even understand the rate of speed, I would argue shouldn't even be considered by the court. With dissatisfied state's concern to any engagement or flight, I think conditions that the state is asking for with regard to alcohol, random alcohol testing, monitoring, could easily be releasing recommended. State hasn't raised any concern like this. If there were, something that could be accomplished by ankle monitoring. But realistically, what the state's concerns are about really goes to what's the lack of information on that first count of DUI. That having been said, a $25,000 bond, unfathomable for this bond. She has no violence. She has no. What she does have a history of is she was caught up. I think through the trial, any of the resulting injuries, if any of the alleged conduct regard to the officer have correlation to her emotional damage from that human trafficking or seeing children. What we don't have here really is a violent purpose. We have someone who charged this. I think what we really need to see is we need to get, if there were any out or the other, to really see where things are going. And $25,000 is just unfathomable. We would recommend with the alcohol monitoring, if the court is concerned with it. Again, since there is no substantiation of the BAC levels, I believe that restrictions on driving would be appropriate. I mean, we live in an area where you have to drive to get to. So we recommend ROR with those.
So I will just let, for the record, for everyone to be clear of what my concerns are at the moment. First of all, just the serious nature of what has happened, that there were children involved in this. At a minimum, there appears to the court, when I did make a probable cause finding on the endangerment, that it appears to be some reckless behavior that was involved that has resulted in the endangerment charges. I also reviewed the criminal history of Ms. Atterbury Davis, and while she has not been convicted of anything, she had a recent arrest for disorderly conduct involving fighting in May. And then when I'm reading the probable cause statement about her behavior at the time of arrest, and then the court received information that the reason why Ms. Atterbury cannot be, why she could not physically be brought into court is due to combative behavior that rendered it unsafe for her to be in court. Those are all very concerning factors when I'm thinking about community safety, along with the behavior the community safety, the behavior of Ms. Atterbury Davis, as well as the serious nature of the charges. So I do believe that a bond is appropriate here to address those things. So I have ordered a secured appearance bond in the amount of $15,000. If she's able to post bond, she'd be released to pretrial services with alcohol testing and monitoring. I'm also ordering that she cannot have any contact with the alleged victims, that she cannot drive a motor vehicle with anyone under the age of 18. I have a special condition that supervised visitation would be permitted if ordered in a family court order. That's my order at this time. I believe that that is appropriate. I'm not sure if either counsel wants to be heard further.
Just letting the state
Hearing
go
that.
first there, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
We would, Your Honor. I just wanted to be clear. We could post the collateral bond for that $15,000.
It's secured appearance, yeah.
Beyond that, Your Honor,
So,
we would also argue that if there was any concern, there's been no raising of any concern of fitness to the mother, that would really be something within the province family law court. And we request that the defer and leave that to the family law court rather than imposing a restriction on supervision.
well, then I can just order no victim contact, period, then.
And the victims also are including her children. Is that what you're saying, Your Honor?
That is what I am saying.
So then we would take the supervised visits. With regard to supervision, I just want to make sure it's not something that's going to have to be in one of those state facilities, but if that's worked out between the parents, that they'd be able to do it that way.
Okay, if there's nothing further, that's something that I'm not sure what's going to happen. I know that the victim impact statement was written by the victim representative. So I'm going to leave it there regarding whatever is going to happen next in family court. But that is what my order is right now, that if contact is permissible under a family court order, then fine. Otherwise, but due to my very serious concerns of the allegations here and that the minor children were also in the vehicle.
And so for clarification, would be allowed visitation.
I'm not sure what further clarification. I think I've said it 3 times.
I just want to make sure.
So I don't know what further clarification you need. So then you need to make it plain what it is that you want, that you're wanting from me, because I've said the same thing 3 times. So I don't know what it is that you're not clear on. So if you will tell me what you're not clear on, I'm happy to clarify.
I just wanted to make sure that the nature of supervision, if her and father are able to work out that supervision with family members.
That would be determined by family court.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That would be a family court order.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so if there's nothing further, this concludes the 2 p.m. Initial appearance calendar. We stand in recess until 5 p.m.